Дякуємо за авто підписникам Mercado медіа. В цей час воно нам дуже необхідне.
Дякуємо глядачам каналу Mercado Media за збір на цю автівку. Слава ЗСУ!
Слава Україні! Я головний сержант 2-ї саперної інженерної роти 33-го окремого інженерного батальйону. Хочу висловити подяку Mercado та його підписникам за таку чудову машину. Ця машина нас приведе ближче до перемоги. Победа за нами, слава Україні!
Hi guys, today I want to appreciate the Mercado media, all the friends and subscribers, and the Navy community for this wonderful pickup truck. Слава Україні!
Героям слава! Всім привіт! Я Вадим, позивний режисер, 42-га окрема механізована бригада. Ми зараз ведемо бої на Харківщині. Дякую Mercado Media і всім підписникам його каналу за придбаний автомобіль. Він дозволить нам ефективно і успішно виконувати бойові завдання на Харківщині. Я сподіваюся, що цей автомобіль дозволить швидше здобути нашу перемогу. Слава Україні!
I want to give a big thank you to Mercado Media and Johnny FD, two close friends who have helped me create this fundraiser between ourselves to help raise funds for what is needed essentially on the front line. I also want to give a big thank you to both Mercado Media and Johnny FD's followers for helping us achieve this goal of funding the first car for our fundraiser. The car is going to be put to good use on the front lines in aiding us with helping to carry out our mission and also helping us to clear Ukraine of the invader. Slava Ukraini.
Thank you, Mercado Media, Johnny FD, Kostak Gundi, and all your subscribers for the generous donation of this van. It will help us with our logistics in the International Legion.
Dear friends of NAFO, my name is Pete, hasta la vista, from Project Constantine. This beautiful beast was donated to the brigade that we're friendly with in the forest, 67 Brigade. 69th Infantry Brigade donating to 67. It's pretty cool. I keep bumping into this vehicle in the forest. We never have time. We never have time to actually make any videos or get inside your vehicle and do any missions with it, because we're like passing ships in the night here. But Mercado Media, Andrew, you NAFO supporters, it's beautiful to see this grand vehicle that you've got for this brigade, because it's a reliable vehicle, and I've never seen it anywhere other than in the forest. I've never seen it in the garage. And yes to that, and all Ukrainians must live. Bakhmut is Ukraine. This forest is Ukraine. And Mercado Media and NAFO, you guys are here supporting us, man, and we freaking love you to pieces. Thank you for what you're doing for the soldiers of Ukraine. God bless you. To victory. Do peremohe.
And there is Russia's losses as of today, June 25th. Got 950 troops, 6 AFEs, 123 vehicles and fuel tanks. You got a tank, 58 artillery systems, 131 UAVs, and 1 multiple launch rocket system. And that is Russia's losses. What happened? He passed away over a year ago now. I still have videos to post from his funeral and things that I just haven't gotten around to when I got there, because when I got to Kyiv, it's like I felt like Ukraine is like a home city. That's how it felt, even though it's so far away. But raced to Kyiv as fast as I could from Tallinn, which is wild, but we did. And then I threw my bags in my B&B and on Kreshadok, and then ran to the church at the end of Kreshadok Street, which is far. And I was able to film some of the funeral. So I'll have that posted eventually here soon. All right. And that is Russia's losses, and we'll have Ukraine updates as we continue. The front lines right now aren't the best, but I'll probably do an actual Ukraine update again Saturday, because it seems like, at least for now, the breaking news wave between the ICE protests and the impending war with Iran, if that does continue, and what's been going on, it literally went from LA to war right away, quickly, very quick. But also, again, Russia's still invading Ukraine. That hasn't stopped, but I kind of told you guys as the year began, I was gonna bring my channel back to what we did to start, which was cover breaking news, which would not be always Ukraine. Okay, and that's just how I want to grow. And my channel's grown. Thank you to everybody we've gained almost 10,000 subscribers in the past month. Going back to what my channel was intended for. So but that doesn't mean I'm gonna stop talking about Ukraine and giving you guys all the latest updates that are happening there. So welcome everybody that has joined us over the past few weeks, and I hope to stay with you. Hope you stick around into the future. So we're gonna go through Pete Hegseth's press conference today. The State Department also had a press conference, but Tammy Bruce didn't bring herself out there. She had an intern go out there, it looks like. So we're going to react to both of those, because we still do not have any concrete evidence or battle damage assessment that Iran's nuclear program has been destroyed, obliterated, however, Donald Trump and the Trump administration want to call it, and we're now coping with, well, it was severely damaged. I had that tweet. We had the CIA. Every single one of Trump's acolytes are coming out for it. Oh, say something. You got to say something. You got to say they were good. They did well. There you go. CIA. This is John Ratcliffe, rather. CIA can confirm that a body of credible intelligence indicates Iran's nuclear program has been severely damaged. So I said from obliterated to completely destroyed to severely damaged. And then guess what? Iran will be minutes away from a nuke again whenever they want it. They'll be seconds away from nukes, weeks away from nukes. Thank you, Sator, for the gift, and then also Dubsy Dabster for the 2. Thank you so much. So, the story keeps changing. We don't have a solid anything. We have nothing. Preston, who's one of the more unbiased war reporters that are out here, and even Trump, and even he's like, we're getting nothing. Footage from the briefing today showing the testing of the GBU. Okay, it's GBU testing, but it's not the actual strike on the the nuclear facilities weren't like that. They were way deeper than that. Like Iran's nuclear facilities were way deeper than what we're looking at. Okay, so they posted that showing what the bunker buster does, and yes, that's what it does. However, we do not have a battle damage assessment on Iran's nuclear facilities, and we don't know if they went boom like this. Okay, bomb drops, wow, explosion, cool, great. Yeah, did that happen to Iran's nuclear facilities that we forced to happen for Israel? We don't have that. We don't know. Okay, so and he was up for it, and I didn't feel like waking up for Pete Hegseth. We can watch on the stream today. We had a lot of breaking news. I stayed up at like 6:50 in the morning to react to his press conference on Monday or whatever it was, Sunday. So I didn't feel like doing it again, because it's just it seriously is like 1984 Big Brother type thing happening with our government right now. So Preston goes, it appears that there isn't new evidence supporting the damage at Fordow. The focus in this brief is showing the capabilities of the weapon systems used rather than the effects achieved, an important aspect, but not technically what makes for a battle damage assessment. Chairman Kane asked if he's being we'll watch it. We'll watch the whole thing. Jennifer Griffin. Okay, we'll watch it again. The press briefing wrapped. Overall focused on the actions of 4 service members and the planning. Okay, well, we'll get our own assessment after we watch it. It also was posted on Mercado Media Facebook page this morning. We had Nikki posted a couple clips, and I also made a post, as well as on the YouTube community tab. You guys should go there and look for postings. Okay, even when I'm not streaming, I'm posting. Yeah, we got social media. Okay, let me pull it up here. And if I'm not live, if something is not live at the time, then you guys can absolutely check out the posts. Okay, so it's right here. Okay, here's the YouTube channel, just really quick before we continue, just to give you guys some notes on the channel. Okay, here's the home page. You're on the home page. It's where you find the streams. You click the posts tab. Click that. And then I've written stuff for you. Lots of stuff is written for you here. From Pete Hegseth, there's the Pete Hegseth post. You already have 42 people have liked it and 13 comments. You guys can also leave your own posts in here now, or you have been able to for a couple weeks now. I don't think I can see it on the computer though. I can only see them on the mobile, on the phone. I can schedule posts. I guess I can schedule posts now. That's crazy. Well, learned something new. Good thing I pulled this up. Yeah, I guess I can do that. But yeah, I posted about Iran's nuclear strikes, Trump meme. So go to this for postings. Like if you're like, why haven't you said anything? Or I probably have. You just didn't look at my posts. But it's usually the same posts that I make on Facebook. Not all of them, because I can't sit there and just keep posting on my YouTube community tab like it's social media, because it's not. It's my YouTube channel. But I try to post a little bit in there. But my Facebook page is my #1 social media. for news updates. We're almost at 115,000 followers on the Facebook page. Shout out to Facebook. Okay, and then obviously we caught up to Preston talking about the Ayatollah, who said the U.S. gained nothing from the strikes. Iran's supreme leader said. Iran's supreme leader has insisted the U.S. gained no achievements from strikes on its nuclear facilities in his first public address since a ceasefire with Israel was agreed on Tuesday. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said the strikes did not accomplish anything significant to disrupt Iran's nuclear program and described the retaliation against an American airbase in Qatar as dealing a heavy blow. It came as Washington doubled down on its assessment that the strikes had severely undermined Iran's nuclear ambitions. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said intelligence gathered by the U.S. and Israel indicated the operation significantly damaged the nuclear program, setting it back by years. We don't have that still, which we'll watch the whole press briefing. We're going to watch the State Department first and then Pete Hegseth, because the State Department just finished before the stream started. Previously, Donald Trump said the strikes against 3 key nuclear sites in Iran were totally obliterated, as we saw in his Truth Social. Really quick, let's see if he's posted anything else. See if he's posted anything else today. Okay. We're mad at Democrats nominating Trump for the Peace Prize. He's doing Kanye post. What is this now? He has another badge next to his Truth Premium. Truth Social Premium, guys. Premium Plus. Incredible. For the 13 people that have Truth Social. Okay. Okay, we can start like back here. We'll look on the greatest, most professional, and most okay, we're gonna watch the news conference and then start here. News conference on now. Watch it, you dumb sheep. I control you from my Truth Social. He does, though, fortunately. Controls a lot of people from this thing. So we'll start there when we get to the press conference, okay? So the latest information will maybe come from the Department of State. It's supposed to, but doesn't usually go that way. We don't have Tammy Bruce today, so that could be a change. We could actually get some information. Who knows? We'll find out. Here we go.
Hopefully you're staying somewhat cool.
420 viewers in the chat. 420 viewers in the chat. You already know what that means. 420 for 420.
That's been a hot couple. It's nice. It's been a hot couple days, at least for me. So I'm glad to hear some people are enjoying it, but it's been kind of hot. Not used to this level, but
okay. I'm gonna have another one. We gotta have another one. Damn it! I hate when I have to do my job. God, don't you just hate when you have to do the thing that you're supposed to do?
nice and cool in here, which is nice. So I have a few announcements up top, and then I'll be happy to take some questions. This week, President Trump and Secretary Rubio returned from the historic NATO summit in The Hague.
Looks like the guy who says, "Do the roar." Do the roar. From Shrek. Good movie.
Where allies committed to dramatically increase defense and security spending to 5% of GDP. This landmark pledge reflects a generational shift in NATO's posture, ensuring that NATO has the forces, capabilities, warfighting readiness, and resilience needed to deter and defend against all modern threats. This is peace through strength. It's not just about budgets, it's about building real military power, a stronger industrial base, and interoperability to last. As President Trump said, this is a monumental win for the United States, for Europe, and for the cause of transatlantic peace and prosperity. The president's leadership deserves full credit for the reinvigorating NATO and restoring.
That guy's so nervous, he knows his life is on the line.
Bring strategic clarity to the alliance. Today, the Secretary announced a new visa restriction policy for family members and close personal and business associates of drug traffickers sanctioned under Executive Order 14059. This will not only prevent them from entering the United States, but it will serve as a deterrent for continued illicit activities. We will continue to use all necessary tools to deter and dismantle the flow of fentanyl and other deadly drugs from entering our country. Tomorrow, Secretary Rubio will host the ministerial signing of a peace agreement between the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda, right here at the Department of State. This is a significant milestone for peace in the Great Lakes region, and a reminder that peace on paper must be matched by implementation on the ground.
Really?
As the Secretary has made clear, implementation enables the economic investment and regional stability we all seek. The United States is proud to support this hard-won progress. And next week, Secretary Rubio will host foreign ministers from Australia, India, and Japan for the 2025 Quad Foreign Ministers meeting on July 1st in Washington, D.C. The Secretary's first diplomatic engagement was with the Quad, and next week's summit builds on that momentum to advance a free, open, and secure Indo-Pacific. This is what American leadership looks like: strength, peace.
He sounds like ChatGPT, and Tammy Bruce sounds at least like she sucks, but she's at least sounds human.
And prosperity. And with that, I'll take some questions.
They wheeled out the ChatGPT guy.
There's nothing on GHF?
So what I can say on GHF, actually, let me, anticipating this question.
Wow, you should have been.
So what I can say is we have approved funding for $30 million to the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. And we call on other countries to also support.
That's the same guy. You asked about Gaza every press conference we've heard. Oh, I should have anticipated that you'd ask me about Gaza. No kidding. I wonder why. Weird. I don't know why that's just not like part of the briefing, but I do know. But like, if you just expect it, you should just include it.
The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, and it's.
Let me go back because I talked over it.
There's nothing on GHF?
So what I can say on GHF, actually, let me, anticipating this question. So what I can say is we have approved funding for $30 million to the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. And we call on other countries to also support the GHF, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, and its critical work. A track record of distributing over 46 million meals distributed to date, all while preventing Hamas looting, is absolutely incredible and should be commended and supported. From day one, we said we are open to creative solutions that securely provide aid to those in Gaza and protects Israel. This support is simply the latest iteration of President Trump's and Secretary Rubio's pursuit of peace in the region.
This is a technical question. Do you happen to know what account that money is coming from?
At this point, I do not. I'll take it back and see if we can.
All right, and then for something completely different, and I'll stop after this, just are you aware of any RIFs being issued today?
At this time, I have nothing to announce on that front. I'm not aware of anything to that effect.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, Tommy. I'll keep with the reorganization. So I'm just wondering, so you guys have the July 1st deadline for
they're all on Tammy Bruce's brain, where she can only do one topic at a time. So they're like, oh, we'll stay on this topic for you too.
Reorg, right? There's an injunction by a federal judge that effectively blocks the department from implementing agency-wide layoffs. And there's SCOTUS potentially weighing on this. So can you tell us, if we don't hear from SCOTUS by July 1st, which is Tuesday, is the State Department still going to go ahead with reduction in force?
Well, I'm not going to speculate and tell the future on hypotheticals, but I can tell you we have no plans here at the department to violate a court order.
Right. So you're saying that if SCOTUS between now and July the 1st does not weigh in on this, then the July 1st deadline will inevitably be postponed?
Well, my first answer stands, and I'm not going to speculate further on that. We have no plans here at the department to violate.
Okay, one more on this. We understand the Foreign Affairs Manual recently has been tweaked to prepare for the foundation of the RIF procedures. This administration has eliminated DEI, and it said it's bringing back merit-based. However, we understand that some of the RIFs will depend on where a foreign service officer, for example, is working at the moment. And there are critics who are saying that that type of criteria basically ignores the years of knowledge, experience, language skills these officers.
Like it takes away the merits that they've already built by being there, and they're going to be removed because they're not white.
Have accumulated. So can you help us understand how this is going to be completely merit-based?
Well, look, what I can say is from the beginning, as the Secretary has said, this reorganization is about making sure we're able to meet the challenges of the 21st century. Being able to move at the speed of relevance, as the Secretary says. It's about empowering people instead of a bureaucracy. And I think it's also important to note the process of this from the beginning. A full transparency in this process, communicating with the American people, with Congress, from the
Don't answer the question and give political corporate speak.
very beginning on this. So the point of this reorganization is, again, to move at that speed of relevancy. Again, I'll stress that I don't want to speculate moving forward exactly on what may happen, but I think it's important to remember the track record of how we got here and the ultimate point of this and what the American people, I think, would expect when it comes to meeting those challenges that we face today.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not answering your question, but here's a lot of words.
Could I ask a
So he's
follow-up?
good at this too, just like Tammy, I guess.
So, if the point is to move at the speed of relevancy, would experience, language, and previous posts, wouldn't that play into consideration?
Well, ultimately, what we're seeing here is wanting to make sure the State Department is able to meet those challenges. That's been this whole process that's been communicated from the beginning to make sure we're effectively meeting those challenges.
So you would take those into consideration?
Well, I think
language proficiency, for instance.
Well, again, I don't want to speculate on certain individuals or get too specific on hypotheticals. But what I can say, as the Secretary has said, is this reorganization is about making sure we're empowering people, not bureaucracy, that we're able to meet those challenges in an effective way. He has spoken to that routinely. He has spoken to that publicly. That's the point here, and I think the American people expect to see.
You never heard corporate speak before? This is corporate speak. Never answer the question, but give you give you parables and slogans.
If I may,
we're here to cut the bureaucracy and empower the people. Okay, you didn't answer the question. Well, the officers that are like in the State Department that can speak foreign languages and they've been working for decades, will they lose their job because of the cuts in DEI and all that Pete Hegseth white supremacy shit?
I also wanted to follow up
Will that
on
happen?
something that Matt raised on the GHF. There's been a lot of criticism, almost universal criticism, from the Arab world, from the UN and others, about the distribution process or limited sites in southern Gaza, no access in northern Gaza, the deployment of IDF troops, monitoring access in violation of certain international norms and the Geneva Conventions. Can you tell us, as the U.S. is about to begin funding, whether they are expanding the sites to more sites so that they can equal what the World Food Program and others had done previously?
Well, look, what I can say is, again, that 46 million meals distributed to date. That's something that should be applauded. We've talked about here in the past different distribution sites that have been opened, but I think this is an example of seeing that aid that has been distributed. And President Trump's commitment, Secretary Rubio implementing that vision here to get aid to the people of Gaza. So we're seeing those 46 million meals, and then we're seeing from there the fact that we're seeing this $30 million approved.
Hold on. State Department approves $30 million in funding for Gaza humanitarian. So this is why they're asking about it. Really quick. U.S. State Department approved $30 million in funding for Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is the GHF. That's what they keep saying, GHF. The State Department said on Thursday, calling on other countries to also support the controversial group delivering aid in war-torn Gaza. This support is simply the latest iteration of President Trump and Secretary Rubio's pursuit of peace in the region, as we're listening right now. Washington has long backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation diplomatically, but this is the first known U.S. government financial contribution to the organization, which uses private for-profit U.S. military and logistics firms to, that's crazy, to transport aid, to transport aid into the Palestinian enclave for distribution at so-called secure sites. Yeah. No wonder it hasn't happened before, because it's the U.S. military delivering aid. Oh boy, and it's for-profit firms too. Oh geez, that's not good. Since Israel lifted an 11-week blockade on Gaza on May 19th, allowing limited UN deliveries to resume, the United Nations says more than 400 Palestinians have been killed seeking aid from both the UN and GHF operations. Earlier this month, GHF halted aid deliveries for a day as it pressed Israel to boost civilian safety near its distribution sites after dozens of Palestinians seeking aid were killed. It says there have been no incidents at its sites. The foundation's executive director, Johnny Moore, an evangelical preacher, oh my God, who was a White House advisor in the first Trump administration, said in a post on X on Thursday that the group has delivered more than 46 million. Oh my God. Bro, are they gonna evangelicalize Gaza and do Christian? Oh my God. They're gonna do fucking missions and shit. Oh boy. I guess that's a way. It's like when you're playing Civilization and you have your preacher and shit and you send them to lands and then you convert them and you can win that way too. Oh, I didn't think of that one. I guess that's a strat. Jesus. All right. Well, there's that. So that's why people aren't really looking at this as like something serious, because it's, who is the guy? Hold on, who is it again? Johnny Moore, evangelical preacher who is a White House advisor. It's not soft power. It's going to be like religion. And then you convert Gazans to Christianity. Watch. Or try to. Oh boy. Grateful for Johnny M. Oh boy. Do you get the idea that some people don't want the aid really to get people in need down? Oh man. Really simple, folks. Okay. Well, the Trump administration will help Gaza as long as they can convert them to Christians and do Christian missionary work in Gaza. That's crazy. Bet you didn't think of that one. You're thinking that it was going to be like military imperialism and, oh, well, that too. You'll have that with Israel, and then you'll have the U.S. spreading evangelical Christianity there, it looks like. Oh boy, that's going to be a mess.
If I may, if you do the math, there are 2 million.
You're going to have an inquisition of Gaza.
To the people of Gaza. So we're seeing those 46 million meals, and then we're seeing from there the fact that we're seeing this $30 million approved.
But if I may, if you do the math, there are 2 million people in Gaza. If you figure that families have multiple children and that this process has been going on now for nearly a month, 46 million meals don't amount to feeding the population of Gaza.
Let's go, Andrea Mitchell. I thought she retired. That's how you know it's bad.
Well, it's 46 million meals that have been distributed. That is,
you know, it'll also be bad. We already have some, but when the best foreign journalists, like of all the other countries, start coming, that's when you know we're cooked, because they do that with Russia, where when Russia has its, Putin does his once a year press conference briefing, and then other world journalists come, and every agency sends their best like journalist, because it's cooked and they have to give the best report possible. That's like what's happening to the U.S. now, is foreign countries are sending their best because we're not in a good situation with this administration.
a positive thing. And we call on other countries to support the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and its work as we have this $30 million that are approved.
We said Hamas is taking all the aid anyhow with no evidence, but we do have evidence of Israelis. We do have direct evidence of Israelis stopping aid trucks from getting into Gaza, and also Israel, the IDF, blowing it up. We do have evidence of that, but Hamas taking it is just feelings.
seeing the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation in line with President Trump's call to deliver aid in a way where it can't be looted by Hamas. We're seeing those creative solutions. We're seeing the fact that we have 46 million meals distributed. That is good news that we have those meals being distributed, and we call on other countries to join in supporting the GHF's work.
Can I have a follow-up on that, please, Tommy?
Okay.
Every time there's been a distribution in some of those centers, there's been chaotic scenes, and according to the Palestinian sources, shots and people actually dying, heading towards these centers. Now, the Israeli army is saying it's investigating and all that, but it seems to be a pattern from the beginning. So do you have no issue with that whatsoever? What's your take on that?
Well, there are two factors here. First, we refer you to the IDF on their investigations. Second, I would remind you that many of these reports, some of these reports, are based in Hamas propaganda. So we have two factors here when it comes to some of these reports. Ultimately, we want to see aid reach the people of Gaza. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation has delivered 46 million meals. We've seen that. We want to see that food being delivered. We see the $30 million approved. So that's what the story is here, moving to implement, get those creative solutions in there to make sure that the aid being distributed is not being looted by Hamas.
And just a follow-up on that, you said $30 million. Has that money actually been given to the foundation already?
It's been
to whom?
It's been approved. That's as far as I can go on that front.
Okay, so then why even say it? It's been approved. It hasn't been used, though. And then you got this guy. This is the one leading the, yeah. They're going to have people speaking in blah, 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 have the Gazans, blah, 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 blah. Praise God. Praise God. Having fucking seizures and shit, dude. Just playing on the acoustic guitar. Oh, my God. This is the one leading it.
Yes.
Yeah, just
Praise Trump.
to follow on what everyone is asking about. You say you want to
Praise
see aid
Trump.
get into Gaza. Are you pushing the Israeli government to allow other groups into Gaza to distribute aid? Today, GHF was the only one allowed into the Strip.
What we're pushing for is for other countries to join us in supporting the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation's work.
But there are other groups who had been established and had methods that were able to distribute more widely before the restrictions of the Israeli government. So are you asking them to also lift these restrictions?
What we're pushing for is for other countries to support the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation's work. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation being able to deliver that aid without it being looted by Hamas. And again, that's about that creative solution that President Trump has said from the beginning. So we call on other countries to support the GHF in this. Yes.
Thank you. To follow up, I'm sure that 46 million meals are very good, and the Palestinians appreciate that. But that, as Andrea said, that translates to about 20 meals per person over, a period of a month, because it's been a month since they started this thing. So there are only like 4 centers. So are there any plans to expand these centers to make more openings, more entry points and so on for aid and all these things? Because Gaza used to receive, 1,000, maybe a couple thousand trucks of food.
Yeah, but it wasn't enough, though. There wasn't enough. Nope. Biden was bad.
A day. So the situation is very dire.
So I don't have anything to preview in terms of future plans here. I'm not going to get into that here. I can say what we've seen in the past is distribution sites opening. We've seen a ramp up of the meals being delivered. And I think
went from the U.S. building a actual humanitarian barge to get big rounds of humanitarian aid in there, thousands of meals, not just 20 meals, and also trying to not enough though. I'll give you that. Not strong enough to stopping Bibi and Zionists and Israel. However, there was an effort there. And with AIPAC embedded into the Democratic Party too, it's not ever going to be a fast situation. The Republicans, though, are literally the Democrats have AIPAC money for sure. Republicans have AIPAC, they're like marionette wings or marionette things going on in their hands, on their arms. And it's always been like that. The Heritage Foundation, and they are literally connected. So it was always going to be very bad when Donald Trump won the election for Gaza, especially. And that really made me mad before the election when I saw people it's just the same people that thought he was going to help Ukraine. Not the same people, but the same stupid hopium that, oh, Donald Trump will help Gaza. And then some people will, and then you'll still have MAGA that will say, well, he is. Look he's helping him. He's doing more than Biden. And you'll even probably have some convinced. You even probably have some super convinced that he's doing more than Biden, or like whatever. Well, we don't see the Israeli genocide of Gaza anymore, so Trump must have fixed it. I don't know. I seriously don't know. He had like the Arab League or whatever support him before the election or whatever. It was so cooked. 2024 just ruined me. 2024 really just sent me into a darkness because of what people were saying about, oh, if Trump becomes president, things are going to be good. Bro, everything that we're living through was predicted by someone as dumb as me. Like, because you just have to read, or you have to read what they're saying. And it's not hard. It's really not that hard. Okay, Trump said he was going to, or Trump didn't even say, he said he had concepts of a plan, but he had the Heritage Foundation and like the Republican base that were telling you everything he was going to say and do, because he follows the base. He's a populist. He doesn't have his own ideas. So if Cat Turd gets on there and says, hey, I think we should stop supporting Ukraine, he will, because Trump doesn't have original thought. He will act upon impulse and what his populist Nazi base will tell him to do. And that's it. And Putin. And that's it. And maybe Bibi, but even now Bibi, it's like, now Trump maybe thinks he's above Bibi. So maybe less him, but definitely for Putin.
Again, the story here is 46 million meals.
Yeah, Laura Loomer too. Yeah, Laura Loomer, Cat Turd, whoever.
I'm not going to get into that here. I can say what we've seen in the past is distribution sites opening. We've seen a ramp up of the meals being delivered. And I think, again, the story here is 46 million meals being delivered to the people of Gaza. That is the story here.
Right. But just if I may follow up very, very quickly. Yeah, but also it has been a death trap. I mean, everybody is documenting that Palestinians are being killed at these centers and so on. Many of them are afraid to go. There's a looming disaster. I mean, are you talking to the Israelis? Are you urging them not to be trigger happy and confronting very hungry people who are so desperate that they're probably grabbing stuff and so on?
Well, I answered your question earlier, but I think it's also important to recognize that Hamas bears sole responsibility for this conflict, as has been stated from this podium several times. By
there you go, Pierre. So another one too. Again, this is just guessing now. Okay, I'm giving opinion. I'm guessing. Right, this could be used as like, well, we're trying to get the aid in, but the Hamas keep attacking, so we have to send the military. Because it's already a U.S. military aligned, for-profit, evangelical bullshit thing. It already is. So it's nothing than to just switch it to, okay, well, military, here it comes. We couldn't get the aid in because Hamas, so we have to like use the military now. So absolutely, again, guessing, opinion, maybe, don't know. But that's people are obviously worried about that.
Spokesperson Tammy Bruce, the fact that we're seeing Hamas act in certain ways and really in barbaric ways, that they've continually done that. So Hamas bears sole responsibility for this conflict. And again, the story.
Hamas bears sole responsibility for this conflict. It's crazy.
Story here is the 46 million meals that have been able to be distributed to the people in Gaza.
So then does Bibi Netanyahu, because he funded Gaza, he funded Hamas. He did. He was working with them prior to October 7th. So, I mean, is Israel a blame at all? Israel good. Israel only good.
During this time, and the fact that we're encouraging other countries to also support the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Yes.
Thanks, Tommy. Sticking on the JHF, do the Americans plan on playing, other than the role of a benefactor here, any other role in terms of management, in terms of security? There were 8 Palestinian JHF contractors that were shot dead, last week? What is the role here other than here's cash?
Well, look, fundamentally, again, we're wanting to make sure we get those resources in a way that helps deliver that food, helps deliver that aid. I have no further details for you at this time. We may have more details in the days ahead. But ultimately, this is about those 46 million meals and trying to get more aid into Gaza in the sense of that $30 million that's been approved for the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation.
Special Envoy Witkoff stressed moving forward with the Abraham Accords. President Abbas wrote a letter to President Trump basically, congratulating him on the Iranian ceasefire, expressing his desire to move forward with the peace process here. I'm trying to figure out, because there's been almost no discussions between at least publicly, between the State Department and the Palestinian Authority. I know Tammy always says just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not going on. But where if Hamas is going to be out of the picture, maybe Arab countries don't know where it's going.
He wants to know who's in charge of Gaza. You talk about how Hamas is so bad, right? Like, then what is happening with that? What is going on? Are we doing regime change? These are valid questions. This guy might even be on a little bit of the side of Israel, it sounds like, but he's still asking valid questions. Like, what's happening? What is going on there? Like, is Israel going to run it? That'd be bad. I mean, that's just going to be a very, very bad thing. Is other Arab countries going to run it? Be probably more acceptable. It can't be Hamas. So who is it going to be? Is it going to be America? So that's what he's asking. Is America going to manage Gaza too? Like, beyond just these humanitarian convoys and efforts? Or are we just throwing money at it? Like, what is the solution here?
What is the State Department's vision for future Palestinian Authority involvement in the region? What is the vision? What is the policy?
Well, right now, what we're looking at is trying to get a ceasefire. That is our focus. Our focus now is the ceasefire we need to see.
So we have nothing.
Focus is getting to that ceasefire, standing with Israel's right.
I-24 is Israel network. Okay, then my ears were making sense. Then it makes sense why it sounded like he was more aligned with Israel just by hearing him talk. But okay, thank you.
To defend itself, its right to protect itself. That's where we are currently. That's where our focus is, and that's where it's going to remain until we reach those goals.
Also, what's ceasefire? Like, the IDF have been conducting operations in Gaza still.
Yes.
Tommy, I'm going to stick on this subject just for a little bit more. You keep saying that the story is that
there is none. Well, in terms of like Iran and Israel directly, I'm not seeing rocket strikes back and forth there, but Israel and Gaza, that's still going. There's been no ceasefire.
Distribution of 40+ million meals, and we're trying to just point out all of the other multifaceted angles of what's going on here, given that the government is about to invest a lot of money into this. So I'm just wondering, like, why, again, to Jenny's question, does this mean the U.S. government doesn't support the World Food Program trying to get into Gaza right now? If not, why not? We're just trying to get a clear answer on why is it just one organization and not the others?
I got you, because it's an evangelical, they want an inquisition of Gaza. That's why. For profit, all under the table, probably controlled through the Heritage Foundation, and it's a direct line to Donald Trump. Mafia shit, dude. Mafia shit through religion, right? If you have unconnected world aid organizations, Donald Trump can't control that. They don't have a hand in that at all. There's no money coming up to Trump or MAGA in there. That's the thing. That's the same thing with Ukraine. If Trump found a way to support Ukraine where he would find all the profit and all of his homies got money, then Ukraine would get dog shit support, but you'd get something more than you're getting now, which is nothing. It's just how it goes with Republicans.
Well, as I just said,
if they can't get a privatization of it or have a money flow directly to them, they're not interested.
Get a clear answer on why is it just one organization and not the other?
Mafia people are brilliant. Yeah, that must be why they always are indicted and thrown in prison.
World Food Program trying to get into Gaza right now. If not, why not? We're just trying to get a clear answer on why is it just one organization and not the others?
Well, as I just said, what this indicates is the fact that we have $30 million approved for the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. That's what this indicates. We've also seen the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, as I was saying, been able to deliver aid in a way that is not being looted by Hamas. The story here, again, as I've said, as you pointed out, is that 46 million meals. That's the story here, and the fact that we're encouraging other countries to step up and support this. The President's been clear. He's been looking for those creative solutions to get aid into Gaza. This is one of those indicators showing a follow-through on that commitment from Secretary Rubio here implementing that vision at the State Department.
Okay, but she's asking why can't you let the world organizations get in there too, the nonprofit ones?
Sorry, if I could just have one more. I don't know if you've seen in the last couple of weeks there was an American security contractor who used to work for the organization. He wrote his experience in ZTO, and he described how the contractors, the Americans going to work for the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, were themselves not getting enough sleep, not getting enough to eat. He describes how some of the contractors were picking up food from the ground, food that was supposed to go to the Palestinian people. I'm just going to very quickly read this to you. He said, "We're telling crying women trying to pick up food for their families that they had to go, and they were looking at this food on the ground that they desperately needed, and they couldn't take it." He said it was absolutely horrific. So when you say the story is that they are getting millions of meals out, the other side of it is that there are many more people who are not getting food, and it's not enough food. And the security situation on the ground, other stories are starting to come out about people who are actually there. So do you have a comment on the experience of some of these contractors who you're about to fund?
Well, every single one of these briefings, every single day, we have conversations about the situation in Gaza. Every single day, we have those conversations. And every single day, we've been working in terms of trying to figure out creative ways to get aid to the people of Gaza. Every single day, we've been working on that. The humanitarian situation, trying to address that. Every single day.
Wow.
And what we're seeing here is that $30 million commitment to this organization. That is what we're seeing. That is the commitment that President Trump...
Yeah, how much money are they getting? Wow. So $30 million to a for-profit evangelical organization led by this guy. Led by this one. I'm sure there's like crazy clips of him. Someone find me clips of Johnny Moore. There's got to be. Is he an absolute? My only hope is that. Oh. Wow. So yeah, Inquisition it is. And we got 30 million from the U.S. government going into a private for-profit organization that looks like it's also funded by Israelis. Incredible. Masterful gambit.
Laid out in terms of trying to get those creative solutions in there. So that's really what we're talking about here, that $30 million going to that organization, the 46 million meals. But of course, we're aware of what's happening in Gaza. That's part of why the president had this commitment to get aid in there, but also to get to that ceasefire, get to that peace, talking about long-term prosperity for everyone in the region. The fact that the people of Gaza have suffered tremendously under the hands of Hamas. The president has spoken about this continually, so has Secretary Rubio. So that's part of what we're seeing here, that $30 million to this foundation. And we encourage, as I said, other countries to also join in supporting this effort. Yes.
Thank you, Tommy. On Iran, there's been some perhaps mixed messaging on the diplomatic...
Well, that was a lot of information on Gaza that we got today that I wasn't ready for, and I don't think maybe you guys were. But that if you hear about the U.S. giving aid to Gaza, you just learned that it's to a for-profit private organization that's led by a evangelical that also looks like he's being funded by Israelis. So that's the aid to Gaza today. That's going. If you hear it in your news feed, I hope people that are like, I hope the hardcore Palestinian influencers or whatever, if you watch them, they're talking about that because that's pretty significantly bad.
Outlook. The president has said he doesn't think a deal is necessary, but special.
So now we're going to Iran. Okay, now the war with Iran or whatever special military operation. Whatever Trump calls it.
Thank you, Tommy. On Iran, there's been some perhaps mixed messaging on the diplomatic outlook. The president has said he doesn't think a deal is necessary, but Special Envoy Witkoff said yesterday that he's hoping for a comprehensive peace agreement if talks with Iran do indeed happen next week, as the president said they would. Can you say what the goal would be for those discussions?
Well, I refer you to my colleague Caroline. She spoke about this at the press briefing at the White House. One of the things that she said there was the goal of an Iranian meeting is to obtain long-standing peace in the region, and I have nothing further to add to her comments.
So no nuclear agreement would that be necessary?
Again, nothing to add in addition to my colleague Caroline's comments.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, right here. Yep. You.
Thank you. Thanks, Todd. You mentioned Israeli army investigations into some of the food distribution incidents at these GHF sites. On June 2nd, Ambassador Huckabee...
I'm used to Tammy Bruce too already, so good. Wow, a normal one where we can just ask whatever the journalist wants to.
Excuse me, Huckabee attacked the press for reporting on some of the scenes of chaos and bloodshed, and he said that all the meals back then initially had been distributed smoothly and with, quote, without incident. Will the ambassador amend his statement against the press if the Israeli army confirms that there had indeed been chaos and bloodshed at the aid distribution sites?
Well, I'm not going to speculate on the future there. What I can say is, as refer you to my earlier answer about the two dynamics that we're dealing with.
And then secondly, there's been some reporting from Israel today about what happens next, assuming there's a durable ceasefire that endures, including the US and Israel talking about bringing Syria and Saudi Arabia into the Abraham Accords, and that a peace plan could help Arab countries help administer Gaza if Hamas is removed. Are you able to talk about that at all, or describe the administration's next focus for the region?
I'm not going to speculate. As I said, our focus remains on achieving that ceasefire. Yes.
Nothing. 9/11.
Today in Riyadh, there was a meeting between
9/11 was bad.
Saudi Foreign Prince Faisal bin Farhan and U.S. Special Envoy Tom Barak. Can you give us more details or read out about the meeting?
Nothing to preview here. I'll take back your question and see if there's anything we're able to.
And I have a follow-up about the GHF. You said that there are investigations. Or are you aware that there are investigations from the Israelis? Because you said that they are looting by Hamas, but we are seeing kids dying. So why they are using force when there are kids like just trying to get food that they are in dire need for?
As I said, the humanitarian situation in Gaza is part of why we have seen the president call for creative solutions to get aid into Gaza.
What?
It's important to remember, though, that, as I said again, Hamas...
What are you saying? Because of what we've seen at the humanitarian centers in Gaza, that's why the president has called for...
bear sole responsibility for this
humanitarian
conflict.
aid.
That is fundamental.
Creative solutions, guys.
As I said, the humanitarian situation in Gaza is part of why we have seen the president call for creative solutions to get aid into Gaza.
Wow.
It's important to remember, though, that, as I said again, Hamas bears sole responsibility for this conflict. That is fundamental. And what we're seeing here is the president saying...
Again, Hamas bears sole responsibility, which is why the other guy, the Israeli reporter, was like, oh, okay, well, if Hamas is only bad and not my side, then let's get rid of the Hamas, and then who's going to run Gaza completely? Like, that's what the Israelis are on, actually, though. So the I-24 guys actually like on what they want, which is to just ethnically cleanse Gaza and then control it like they do the West Bank. So it's a whole lot of taco here, right? In terms of like, is he going to ethnically cleanse Gaza in full send, or are you going to play this game and give money to this preacher who's going to go there and collect all the money himself while the IDF shoot and kill children at the aid centers? Is that going to happen? This is a mess. This is just going to become a absolute, like, the darkest thing ever. It's already been very dark, but it's going to go even worse. It's going to be worse.
We need creative solutions to get aid into Gaza, and we're seeing $30 million approved to the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation in order to support those efforts.
There's force used next to kids who are in dire need of food. Why are the IDF using force and like bullets next to kids who are trying just to get some flour?
Well, as I, again, refer you to my earlier answer of the two dynamics here. The fact that there are some examples, and the IDF has said publicly that they are investigating. I refer you to them on their investigation.
Are you following this?
But also that there are examples, where of Hamas propaganda. So there are two different dynamics.
Fake news. Hamas, it's Hamas propaganda. It's propaganda.
Dynamics here, I refer you to them on their question. Yes.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tammy. Two questions. The Russian Defense Secretary Andrei Belousov announced that thousands of North Korean engineer corps would be sent to help rebuild Kursk. Kursk is Ukraine territory.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this will be an issue between Russia and Ukraine in ceasefire talks?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one more time? I missed the first part of your question.
First part, the Russian Defense Minister, Defense Secretary Belousov announced that thousands of North Korean engineer corps would be sent to help rebuild Kursk, Ukraine territories. So do you think this will be an issue between Russia and Ukraine in ceasefire talks?
On the issue of North Korea support for Russia or
Yes,
vice versa, we've
yes.
spoken to that multiple times from this podium. I refer you to those earlier comments from myself and spokesperson Bruce. As the President has said many times, we hope to see that ceasefire, that long peace. We've been working for that, engaging with that. Ultimately, it is up to the parties in order to reach that.
One more. Do you know how much will the U.S. increase its defense cost sharing with South Korea, and when will you discuss this issue?
Let me take back your question and see if we can get some further details for you.
Somewhat related to that, can I just ask a logistical thing, and just very quick? You mentioned the Quad meeting that the Secretary is going to be hosting.
Yes.
He is still planning to meet with these foreign ministers individually before the Quad meeting, right?
I'll see what we're able to read out. At this point, I can confirm the Quad meeting, but I'll see if I can get you more details on that.
Thanks.
So something about the North Koreans being involved in Russia's invasion of Ukraine and whether or not that will factor into ceasefire talks, which that's the ceasefire there is the same ceasefire that's happened between Israel and Gaza, right? There is none. There is none. Doesn't exist.
What you asked, what you talked about at the beginning, what exactly is being signed tomorrow? Because Nobel Peace Prize winner Denis Mukwege said that this peace process has been opaque, non-inclusive, that this deal rewards aggression. I mean, there was he's been very critical of this, so I'm wondering what exactly is being signed here.
Also, first of all, as you mentioned, tomorrow Secretary Rubio will host the ministerial signing of the peace agreement between the Democratic Republic of the Congo and the Republic of Rwanda right here at the State Department. Wow. There are provisions on respect for territorial integrity and a prohibition of hostilities, disengagement, disarmament, and conditional integration of non-state armed groups, establishment of a joint...
So this is like some bullshit that they can get away with by saying, look, we're peacemakers, and then the actual like terrorism and like Russia's invasion and none of that is actually like getting stopped. Like the actual like big wars that are happening, like massive conflicts right now, none of that will be fixed, but they'll find some fuck all conflict in Africa or something between warlords that they're all fascists anyways. They're the warlord fascists, and the other fascists can get along with the Trump administration because they're fascist, and then they'll all sit and like pretend like they did a peace deal together, and then they'll fight again because warlords fight. Okay,
Joint Security Coordination Mechanism that incorporates the CONOPS of October 31st, 2024. Facilitation.
Kevin S. says Congo has Russian gas lines. Rwanda wants Russian nuclear. That's why the U.S. is doing this, for Russia profits. Good point.
Of the return of refugees and internally displaced persons, as well as humanitarian access and a regional economic integration framework. So, though I would stress also what was mentioned in my topper, that it is with implementation of this agreement that the economic investment and development we all want to see will be possible.
So you talk about regional framework, but this is just between two countries, and there are a lot of countries involved in this conflict.
Well, I think ultimately, again, refer you to the comments I just had there. There'll be more information as we approach the day itself. But this is good news. This is good news. This is a fantastic achievement. We're proud to support this effort, and we applaud this effort.
Yeah, I said.
Yes.
Okay, this is State Department briefing from today. Waiting to hear if we have any further information about Iran's nuclear program.
The State Department increases scrutiny on the student visas of foreign students, particularly from China. I'm wondering if the department has concerns about the Chinese student associations in the U.S., given their ties to the Chinese.
We're watching the whole press conference after this. Don't get ahead of me.
And they have been described as a tool to extend Chinese influence.
So on your first question, I'll take that back, see if we can get you some details on that. On the second, on student visas and on our visa policies here in general, what I can say is that every single visa decision is a national security decision. And that's something that Secretary Rubio takes incredibly seriously. And I think it's the American people want that to be taken seriously, the ability to properly vet certain rules, regulations. Every single visa decision is a national security decision, no matter who you are applying for a visa. And that's, like I said, something the Secretary takes very seriously. So that's all for today. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Wow. Well, we learned a lot, unfortunately, a lot of bad news for Gaza, but nothing else. Through his waffling, through his non-answers. Had to do additional research there, but that's not good. Well, it's like people will be fed with the 20 meals, but like it doesn't do anything for you get 20 meals, and then there's still more days in the month, and they don't get to eat. And then there's no solution to ending Israel's territorial expansion desires. They're putting it all on Hamas. Hamas is the sole reason for the conflict. So that's where they're at with it. Not good. Not good news for Gaza. But no, we didn't learn anything else. Okay, and then the guy that's running the aid organization looks like he runs a cult himself. Okay, let's go to Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth today. At the Pentagon briefing. It was only 42 minutes. I want to just watch the... Let me see. Can we just like watch it on the Pentagon? Didn't go well. 20 meals over 40. So it's over a month then. You get 20 meals in 46 days. So it's less. You get less than a month of meals. Way less. We can watch it on Forbes. I'm trying to find a clean one that will have good audio. Oh, what's that? Let's just do Pete Hegseth. This was this morning. I wasn't going to wake up for Pete Hegseth again. Here we go. Okay, so he had Trump had him go out there because he's been attacking CNN and the media for simply asking, like, yo, can we get battle damage assessment? Can we get any evidence that Iran's nuclear program has been destroyed or obliterated, as you said? And then instead of giving answers like, okay, here you go, they're just attacking the media as if like the media is attacking as if like the pilots suck at their job, or like the pilots are trash, Air Force is trash, and you guys suck so bad and you missed the target and you're dog shit. And that's basically like what Trump is saying that the media is saying, and that's not true at all. But it goes back throughout history of Trump, and he'll just blame the fake news as like his whole base does with everything now. And there still is nothing. There still is no battle damage assessment of destroyed anything from these bombings of Gaza. So he was mad. Fake news. CNN is so disgusting and incompetent. Some of the dumbest anchors in the business. I think he went off yesterday on one. He was mad about Zoran yesterday, which is funny. We'll get to that too. There you go. Natasha Bertrand should be fired from CNN. I watched her for 3 days doing fake news. Should be immediately reprimanded and then thrown out like a dog. She lied on the laptop from hell story, and now she lied on the nuclear site story. By the way, why did Hunter Biden's laptop stay in the news for as long as it did, but the MAGA murder of Melissa Hortman, her husband, and her dog inside of Minnesota is like nowhere? That story's done now. And I guess I could do better, but like I'm doing the best I can with my YouTube channel. I don't make millions of dollars and have ability to reach a lot of people instantly like corporate media does. But we had a Trump supporter murder a politician in the try to murder two of them, was successful with one, and had a whole list of others, and that's out of the news already. But yet we can still talk about the laptop from hell, which is Hunter Biden's laptop. That's why I call MAGA terrorists. They're domestic terrorists, guys. In one way, shape, or another, they are at the end of the day. She lied on the laptop from hell story, and now she lied on the nuclear site story, attempting to destroy our Patriot pilots by making them look bad when, in fact, they did a great job and hit pay dirt. Maybe it's because the Hunter Biden laptop is a drama, and it can keep people interested for so long. And then when you actually see literal murder, people go, oh no, that's scary. I mean, it is. But I'm just saying, oh, murder, bad. Oh, let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that. Let's do the drama instead and like make it last longer. So he attacks Natasha Bertrand, and then CNN issued a retraction, or not a retraction, a follow-up to that. They didn't retract anything because there's nothing to retract. We stand 100% behind Natasha Bertrand's journalism, and specifically her and her colleagues' reporting of the early intelligence assessment of the U.S. attack on Iran's nuclear facilities. CNN's reporting made clear that this was an initial finding that could change with additional intelligence. We have extensively covered President Trump's own deep skepticism about it. However, we do not believe it is reasonable to criticize CNN reporters for accurately reporting the existence of the assessment and accurately characterizing its findings, which are in the public interest. And I actually got to give a credit to my conservative followers, because you need to. I won't call you MAGA if you leave that shit. If you keep being a Trump cult dick suck, I'm gonna call you exactly that. Okay, be normal. You can be conservative and normal. I'll be against your politics, obviously, and I'll challenge you to those, but like at least you won't be a cultist. But I actually had, for the first time, people that usually will go against me for the dumbest things. They had my back. And they were like, Mercado is, because I was posting too. I was trying. Everyone was trying to post like, oh, we ceasefire, no ceasefire. We hit the targets. We didn't hit the targets. Trump says we obliterated everything, but there's no evidence. It was a shit show. It was a nightmare. And I actually had conservative people that were like, had my back and were like, hey, because I had people that were doing, Merc, you're just like CNN. You're fake news, just like them. Wait for I was reporting the information as it happened, because we live in 1984 in the United States because of the Trump government, because of how they operate. And it's not my problem, actually. And it's not the media's problem either. Well, they need to be better, especially the corporate media, because they're paid millions of dollars and they can influence and definitely manipulate. But in general, because we live in 1984 government world with Donald Trump and MAGA, the truth has to come out. And whether or not we destroyed those sites, and you can cope and seethe about, well, you're just siding with Iran, and I saw that too. You're just wanting we bombed Iran for Israel. It's not in the American interest at all. And you lied about it. And you lied that we even hit anything significant after the fact. And then instead of like taking ownership of that or providing evidence, you try to gaslight everybody and then say, well, we're just shitting on the airmen and the soldiers. And it's wrong. Okay. So that all leads up to this press conference, which Trump had Hegseth go out there. We had clips posted, but I haven't watched the whole thing yet. So here we go. Pete Hegseth press conference from this morning. Need a spark for this one.
Well, good morning, everybody. Just arrived last night back from NATO, 2 days apart from my battle buddy, so it's good to see him this morning.
My battle buddy.
You, Mr. Chairman.
You too, sir. Okay, airmen don't say battle buddy, you idiot.
Where there was a historic outcome. I want to start with that real quick. I think there's so much news, so many things happening that oftentimes big, momentous moments get missed. What President Trump accomplished in NATO yesterday was game-changing and historic. A shift in burden sharing to European responsibility in NATO that most would have said was impossible at the beginning of his term. But he said NATO needs to pay up. They started in the first term, and here.
Didn't I tell you this? I told you this on stream yesterday, that NATO is more willing to go to the 5% because of Russia, and they know that they can't rely on America only anymore. So they need to get their defense spending up because Russia. But Trump will get credit for it, and they'll take credit for it. I told you that on stream yesterday, or 2 days ago now. Sorry, I forgot what day it was. I thought Tuesday was Wednesday. I was wrong that whole stream. I wasn't corrected, I think, until my gaming stream later. Maybe you guys were trying, but I really thought yesterday was, or whatever. I'm confused. I don't know what day it is anymore.
Here in his second term, we've accelerated that. 32 NATO countries committed to spending 5% of their GDP on defense, on actually investing in the NATO alliance. So I hope with all the ink spilled, all of your outlets find the time to properly recognize this historic change in continental security. that other presidents tried to do, other presidents talked about. President Trump accomplished it. It's a huge deal. You see, we're here this morning because in hunting for scandals all the time, in trying to find wedges and spin stories, this press corps and the press corps miss historic moments. You miss historic moments like 5% at NATO, which when you hear, I was in the closed-door briefing. I wish there could have been cameras in there. When you heard the prime ministers and presidents of other countries, to a man and to a woman, looking at President Trump and saying, this never could have happened. Never would have happened. It seemed impossible 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 8 years ago. But here we are because of your leadership.
Told you guys, Europe is cocked. That's why, like, I was so, it may be the eagle was screeching in red, white, and blue. And I had to stop it. I had to take a break in May because I was so, the Europeans were like shitting on all of us for Trump winning. But I'm like, y'all can't do shit without America. You can't do anything without us. Okay. So maybe get on the train of helping us overthrow this dude in terms of like the election or whatever, instead of saying, oh, America's cooked, America's fucked. Like, you all can't do anything without us. So in order to fix that, NATO needs to go to 5% or more, probably for some countries, right, to help fight Russia, because Russia is continuing invasions of European countries. And as long as a Republican is in office, or Donald Trump, Russia is going to manipulate that dude. And Russia has ownership of Donald Trump, so America will not help Europe. So by going to 5%, sure, Trump can claim the victory for it, but Europe needs to, because they don't have production for anything, and they rely on the U.S. for far too much. You can't do anything without the U.S. militarily. Okay, and we learned that through Ukraine when we're like, oh, well, the Brits send a package, and then the package goes, and it's like, oh, well, we can't use it because we have to use the U.S. satellites, or we have to use the U.S. approval to use our own weapons. And I'm like, oh no, Europe is super cucked to the United States. Like, it's not even funny, and it's true. So they needed to go to the 5%. I told you on the two streams 2 days ago that they would, the Trump and MAGA will take credit for it, and like, whatever. Okay, that's what you gotta do now. You're gonna have to kiss the king, just like MAGAs do here, if you want help from him against Russia's invasion of Ukraine or anything else. And it's gonna be weak. It's gonna look weak. It's gonna suck. But you know, that's the best thing you can do, is amplify the resistance in the U.S., I guess, to Donald Trump, or the people that are going to be trying to vote against him, and the efforts against him. All right, that's the best you can do. Not when you see an ICE protest, and I saw some Brit with NAFO Brit, and I just went off on him. We blocked each other because I just didn't want to see it anymore. Talk about, they're out there burning the flag, motherfucker. They're sending the Marines to L.A. and you're talking about the flag burning. We burnt your flag in 1776. Don't forget that.
If you ask them,
and then he goes, well, we burnt the White House. I don't care. Good. But guess what? The king doesn't rule America now, does it?
8 years ago. But here we are because of your leadership. If you ask them the question, I bet they'd say the same thing. But searching for scandals, you miss historic moments, like recruiting at the Pentagon.
Wow.
Historic levels in the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy. Yeah, maybe there'll be a little mention here or there, but because it was under President Trump's leadership, because Americans are responding to him as commander-in-chief, the press corps doesn't want to write about it. Or bring us to the topic of the moment, the highly successful strikes in Iran. Let me read the bottom line here. President Trump directed the most complex and secretive military operation in history, and it was a resounding success, resulting in a ceasefire agreement and the end of the 12-day war. There's been a lot of discussion about what happened and what didn't happen. Step back for a second. Because of decisive military action, President Trump created the conditions to end the war, decimating, choose your word, obliterating, destroying Iran's nuclear capabilities.
What?
I want to read some of the assessments that have been provided, because whether it's fake news, CNN,
why are you yelling into the mic though? Like, why did you turn the mic gain up so loud?
Or the New York Times, there's been fawning coverage of a preliminary assessment. I've had a chance to read it. Every outlet has breathlessly reported on a preliminary assessment from DIA. I'm looking at it right now. Again, it was preliminary, a day and a half after the actual strike.
Are you a Secretary of Defense or the captain of the football team trying to make a speech at something that you shouldn't be doing? What is happening right now?
When it admits itself in writing that it requires weeks to accumulate the necessary data to make such an assessment, it's preliminary. It points out that it's not been coordinated with the intelligence community at all. There's low confidence in this particular report. It says in the report there are gaps in the information. It says in the report multiple linchpin assumptions are what this assessment, a linchpin assumption, you know what that is? That means your entire premise is predicated on a linchpin. If you're wrong, everything else is wrong. And yet, still, this report acknowledges it's likely severe damage. Again, this is preliminary, but leaked.
Trump said it was obliterated. Your MAGA 1984 Big Brother government told everybody it gone. Iran can't make any more nukes. I even made sure to reiterate that. Iran cannot make any more nukes. It's gone. GG's. No more. Obliterated. And then it changed to, oh, it's severely damaged. Well, at least there's damage, guys. Lying fake news.
Report acknowledges it's likely severe damage. Again, this is preliminary, but leaked because someone had an agenda to try to muddy the waters and make it look like this historic strike wasn't successful. I'm going to get to the chairman in a moment because he's going to lay out the particulars for you based on his professional military experience. But here's what other folks are saying. The DIA that put that report out says that this is a preliminary low confidence report and will continue to be refined as additional intelligence becomes available.
And that's literally what the news reported, and me and everybody. And I even said, like, on the last stream that said breaking news about Iran and U.S. war, I said, guys, hey, ceasefire for now. That can change. Be ready for information to change. Okay? A lot of people can deal with that. A lot of people can't.
How about the Israeli Atomic Energy Commission? The devastating U.S. strikes on Fordow destroyed the site's critical infrastructure and rendered the enrichment facility inoperable. Have any of these quotes made their way into the New York Times or the Washington Post? MSNBC? CNN? Any of these quotes? How about this one? This is a new one from the UN, the United Nations. No friend of the United States, or certainly Israel often. Here's the head of the UN Atomic Energy Agency this morning, Rafael Grossi. U.S. and Israeli strikes caused enormous damage to Iran's nuclear sites.
Is damage the same thing as obliterated and completely gone? No more Iran nuclear program? Are those two the same things? No, they're not. So y'all lied. You said they were destroyed completely, obliterated. Then information came out that, oh man, maybe Iran moved their nukes and stuff, and there's satellite imagery of them moving it. So maybe the U.S. didn't even hit anything. And then Trump said, it was obliterated, I said. It was destroyed. No more program. Gone. And then okay, well, preliminary information came out that suggests that, they're not destroyed. There's some damage, but they're not destroyed. And then also that Iran likely moved their materials out of the facilities prior to the strikes because we told them that they were coming. We told them that the strikes were coming.
Don't take my word for it. How about the IDF's chief of staff?
Okay, that we definitely shouldn't take. Don't take my word for it. Take the IDF chief of staff's word for it. Yep, that's 0 for 2. 0 for 2 here.
I can say here that the assessment is that we significantly damaged the nuclear program, setting it back by years. I repeat, years.
By years now. Oh boy. So it wasn't obliterated. It's now we're years away now from Iran reaching a nuclear bomb. Okay, so we were weeks away, then we're months away. Now it's like 28 years later, 28 months later, 28 days later, Iran will have a nuke.
The Iranian foreign minister, the spokesman, our nuclear installations have been badly damaged, that's for sure. I'm sure that's an understatement.
As he's reading it himself, because he's probably hasn't read any of it, he's like, oh, fuck, this doesn't sound like they're completely destroyed. Ah, shit. Well, hey, I'm sure it's more damaged than the damage assessment, okay? Let me have a sip here.
John Radcliffe, the director of the CIA, putting out a statement.
Another Trump guy, another absolute Trump acolyte, of course. Okay? When it's a Trump dick suck, and then that person is put in a position to do that, why would you take any of their words as like, this is concrete, ground, solid? And it's the CIA. Hey guys, trust them when it comes to foreign wars. and
last night,
and regime changes. They've done so good.
John Radcliffe, the director of the CIA, putting out a statement just last night. CIA can confirm that a body of credible intelligence indicates Iran's nuclear program has been severely damaged by recent targeted strikes.
Is that obliterated or completely destroyed? Is that either of those words that Trump himself said?
This includes new intelligence from a historically reliable, very different than preliminary assessment with low confidence. He's saying historically reliable and accurate source and method that several key Iranian nuclear facilities were destroyed and would have to be rebuilt over the course of years. CIA continues to collect additional reliably sourced information.
He's literally yelling into the mic in the gain. It's like perfect. I bet you the mic got fucking drunk.
To keep appropriate decision.
Imagine the alcohol breath on that microphone.
Makers fully informed. How about DNI Tulsi Gabbard yesterday?
Oh yeah.
She writes, and I quote, new intelligence.
Let's trust Tulsi if you don't trust John Radcliffe.
DNI Tulsi Gabbard yesterday. She writes, and I quote, new intelligence confirms what POTUS has stated numerous times. Iran's nuclear facilities have been destroyed. Institute for Science.
Okay, so are they destroyed or are they damaged or what is happening? So, all right, chat, can we agree on a term together? Let's do this. I want my Israel dick sucks and MAGA dick sucks that like support Israel so hard that you just refuse to like even try. Okay? Is severely damaged and completely destroyed the same thing? Or are they different? Are those two definitions different to you? Like when you think of something that is completely destroyed, is that the same thing to you as severely damaged? Are those two the same? If they're different to you, then you should be questioning this government. If you don't understand definitions, or you're just trying to, again, be a cultist and say, oh, they are the same. Yeah, same thing. Or obliterated. Obliterated leaves room for there's still something there. When you say completely destroyed, that means it's gone. You know, obliterated, you could be, that's a good term you could probably stretch with and you could play with that. Like I could say something's obliterated and like that's my own opinion of it, right? That's obliterated to me, to you, probably not. But completely destroyed gives a complete definition of, you know, it's gone completely. Severely damaged, you understand that, yeah, there's still something there. But it's damaged enough severely. Holy fuck, dude.
And International Security President David Albright, overall, Israel and U.S. attacks have effectively destroyed Iran's centrifuge enrichment program. Time and time again, I can go down the list. Those that understand, those that see, those that do proper assessments recognize that what the United States military did was historic. And again, before I pass it to the chairman, because you, and I mean specifically you, the press, specifically you, the press corps, because you cheer against Trump so hard, it's like in your DNA and in your blood to cheer against Trump, because you want him not to be successful so bad, you have to cheer against the efficacy of these strikes. You have to hope maybe they weren't effective.
What?
Maybe the way the Trump administration has represented them isn't true. So let's take half-truths, spun information, leaked information, and then spin it. Spin it in every way we can to try to cause doubt and manipulate the public mind over whether or not our brave pilots were successful.
Wow.
How many stories have been written about how hard it is I don't know, fly a plane for 36 hours.
What? Oh, bro, the spin doctor. Okay, the spin doctor. He's Fox News guy. They know how to do it. Yeah. Why didn't you write about the toilets? Yeah, Mercado was interested in the toilets. You should have done a story on that, CNN. We wanted to know about how they shit. Okay, and that's way more important story than whether or not the strikes in Iran were successful. Okay, or whether or not like the nuclear program was like, even the people that love Israel would love to know, because right, they believe that Iran is seconds away from a nuke. Wouldn't it be nice for them too to know? Wouldn't they like to know if we have destroyed Iran's nuclear program? Okay, everyone wants to know. Only cultists will just accept what this clown here is doing for as if it's fact. This is wild. This is seriously wild. Drunk big brother. This is 1984 in real life, guys, but by a guy who's hammered. Imagine when they get a person that isn't a drunk to do this. That'll be really scary.
And in your blood to cheer against Trump.
In your blood.
Because you want him not to be successful. So
this is like the Charlie Sheen thing. Tiger blood.
And I mean specifically you, the press. Specifically you, the press corps. Because you cheer against Trump so hard. It's like in your DNA and in your blood to cheer against Trump. Because you want him not to be successful so bad, you have to cheer against the efficacy of these strikes. You have to hope maybe they weren't effective. Maybe the way the Trump administration has represented them isn't true. So let's take half-truths, spun information, leaked information, and then spin it.
Projection.
Spin it in every way we can.
Projection. I'm going to say what I'm doing, but I'm going to say that you're doing it. Yeah, you're not fooling anybody. Keg's breath.
Try to cause doubt and manipulate the public mind over whether or not our brave pilots were successful. How many stories have been written about how hard it is to, I don't know, fly a plane for 36 hours? Has MSNBC done that story? Has Fox? Have we done the story how hard that is? Have we done it 2 or 3 times so that American people understand? How about how difficult it is to shoot a drone from an F-15 or 16 or F-22 or F-35? Or what it's like to man a Patriot battery? Or how hard it is to refuel midair? Giving the American people an understanding of how complex and sophisticated this mission really was. There are so many aspects of what our brave men and women did that because of the hatred of this press corps are undermined because people are trying to leak and spin that it wasn't successful. It's irresponsible.
Oh, this unfortunately works on so many Americans, guys. This works on so yeah. Why didn't they ask about the beat? Why didn't they ask about the soldier? Did they ask about Patriot system? What is the Patriot system? Oh wow, you would have learned about the Patriot system 3 years ago, and we sent it to Ukraine. But instead, you're an idiot and cried and said, "My taxpayer money going to Ukraine. I don't even know where that is. I can't even say it. I can't even pronounce Ukraine. Can't even say it. But we're giving them stuff and my tax money." But you would have, if you're somebody that isn't a moron, you would have said, "What are we sending to Ukraine?" But no, you didn't go that far. Not taxpayer money, my tax money. You would have learned about what the Patriot is. Oh, we did a whole deep dive on my channel. You know, we watched so many nerdy military videos on all of these weapon systems, every single one. And we'd watch it for like a half hour, and I'd be like, "Oh wow, cool, look at that. Oh wow, look what that does. Oh, look at that missile," or whatever. Every day we would send something, but you could have learned about it, but you chose not to. And that's a personal problem. So Pete Hegseth is giving personal problems because guess what? There are nerds that have all types of content around everything he just said about what being a pilot is like. You can actually watch YouTube channels of pilots filming themselves, so like vlogging or whatever, and you can experience that if you want to, like secondhand, obviously, because you're watching a video. That's why they're not gonna waste their time with content that you can easily get into if you want to, when there's a news story that's important about what we did to Iran. And if we're going to be drawn into a wider war, which we just got out of one 20 plus years for the same stupid reasonings that we bombed Iran. It was the same thing. That's why we're focused. That's why the media is focused on those stories and that over how long can you take a shit in the B-21 before it smells? How long can you sit on the pot and how many courtesy flushes does it take?
And folks in this room,
what an actual joke.
How hard it is to refuel midair, giving the American people an understanding of how complex and sophisticated this mission really was. There are so many aspects of what our brave men and women did that, because of the hatred of this press corps, are undermined because your people are trying to leak and spin that it wasn't successful. It's irresponsible. And folks in this room are privy to that information because of the proximity here in the Pentagon. It's an important responsibility. And time again, classified information is leaked or peddled for political purposes to try to make the president look bad. And what's really...
You leaked information on your own, so calm down. Twice, not once, but twice. You had a journalist in your Signal chat, you idiot.
Happening is you're undermining the success of incredible B-2 pilots and incredible F-35 pilots and incredible refuelers and incredible air defenders.
Nope, gaslighting doesn't work on me. Tenebris, I'm going to keep pausing it now extra because you cried about it, so I'm going to pause it more. So projection and also gaslighting, not working on us. Okay, it works on morons, Pete Hegseth.
And what's really happening is you're undermining the success of incredible B-2 pilots and incredible F-35 pilots and incredible refuelers and incredible air defenders who accomplished their mission, set back
air
a
defenders
program in ways that other presidents would have dreamed.
The last air defender. Oh, if I was called an air defender, I would immediately try to find the fastest way out. Like, I'm not, no, air defender. Holy.
How about we celebrate that?
Yeah.
How about we talk about how special America is, that only we have these capabilities?
Yeah.
I think it's too much to ask, unfortunately, for the fake news.
Mm-hmm.
So we're used to that.
Right.
But we also have an opportunity to stand at the podium and read the truth of what's really happening.
The
reality
gospel.
is, you want to call it destroyed, you want to call it defeated, you want to call it obliterated.
You're reading your own, you just read your own reports, you moron. You fucking loser. You just read 4 reports from your own shit, including from the CIA, of different language used for describing what the bombings of Iran were. Obliterated, destroyed, completely gone, annihilated, no more. That's your own shit now. And you're projecting it to the media for just reporting what your own administration and bullshit is putting out. Uno reverse. Not going to work. This only works on cultists. Only if you're a cultist, this works on you.
You also have an opportunity to stand at the podium and read the truth of what's really happening. And the reality is, you want to call it destroyed, you want to call it defeated, you want to call it obliterated.
Projection.
Choose your word.
Projection.
This was an historically successful attack, and we should celebrate it as Americans. And it gives us a chance to have peace, chance to have a deal, and an opportunity to prevent a nuclear Iran, which is something President Trump talked about for 20 years, and no other presidents had the courage to actually do.
Yeah, take a sip. Take a sip, bud.
So with that, I want to hand it over to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. They've done technical analysis on this, not just on the strike.
Easily the biggest joke and loser of Secretary of Defense we've ever had in the history of the United States. The history of the United States. This Pete Hegseth is the biggest joke of a Secretary of Defense. I have no confidence in our military under Pete Hegseth.
But also on our Patriot defenders, on Al Udeid. And Mr. Chairman, I'll hand it over to you.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and good morning, and all of you. Thank you for being here. As a follow-up to my comments on Sunday's press conference, I wanted to give you a few updates this morning on something I'm honored to do as a chairman, and that's a chance to get to talk about some of our service members and the incredible things that they do on behalf of our nation. And I apologize ahead of time for the length and the detail. Today, I'm going to brief you on a couple things. First, I'm going to talk about our air defenders at Al Udeid in Qatar and their actions on Monday. Then I'm going to walk you through a little bit about the academics that went into the attack against Fordow, the massive ordnance penetrator weapon, and we're going to show a video that highlights the effects that weapon has. Of course, nobody was down inside the target, so we don't have video from the target.
So you're going to do a propaganda, with the stupid video that isn't Iran. Nice.
First, on Monday, as the president has stated, on Monday morning we began to receive indications and warnings that Iran intended to attack U.S. bases in the region. That morning, building on the work that CENTCOM Commander Eric Kurilla had done, and on the orders of the president, at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar and around the region, we assumed a minimum force posture. Most folks had moved off the base to extend the security perimeter out away from what we assessed might be a target zone, except for a very few Army soldiers at Al Udeid. At that point, only 2 Patriot batteries remained on base, roughly 44 American soldiers responsible for defending the entire base, to include CENTCOM's forward headquarters in the Middle East, an entire air base, and all the U.S. forces there. The oldest soldier was a 28-year-old captain. The youngest was a 21-year-old private who'd been in the military for less than 2 years. So let's put ourselves out there for a second. Imagine you're that young first lieutenant, you're 25 or 26 years old, and you've been assigned as the tactical director inside the command and control element. You, at that age, are the sole person responsible to defend this base. Listening next to you is your early warning operator whose job is to notify you of imminent attack. There's 5 people inside a vehicle and 5 people outside of a vehicle around these, a total of, as I said, 44. By the way, you've sat in the Middle East for years, deployed over and over again, extended multiple times, always being prepared, but unsure of when that particular day will come that you must execute your mission and not fail at doing it. In this case, these Patriot crews were deployed from Korea and Japan as part of our U.S. forces there to ensure that we had the most capable missiles in the CENTCOM area of responsibility. As the day continues, you start to hear more and more chatter in the information space about a pending attack. And as the sun starts to set in the west, you get orders from your higher headquarters.
Oh, just stop this. Stop it. You are not a storyteller, sir. You're not a storyteller in that. You are there to do, you did great with the other one, but I can clearly tell that they're making him add more fluff to this and give a you need a mental picture. Oh, the sun was rising and the soldiers were in their cots, and bro, they don't fucking know. And if you want to learn about that, the soldier will talk about it, or you can watch a documentary. Just give us the details. Holy shit.
Make sure that your missile batteries are pointed to the north. There are just a few other teammates. It's hot. You're getting nervous.
Oh my God, it's hot and sweaty, and they were just looking at each other, and they gazed into each other's eyes before the Iranian ballistic missile came in. Like, bro, stop this. Oh, this is not good. It was fine. He did his job in Monday or whatever, where he gave the operational details, and there was no extra fluff. He didn't Pete Hegseth any of it. Clearly, they want him to do that, and that isn't good when you have a uniformed officer doing this. Not good.
You expect an attack. Outside of those Patriot vehicles, your hot crew, which is 1 NCO and 4 additional soldiers, turns a key and relinquishes control of those missiles to that young lieutenant inside the vehicle. And
yo, what?
You wait.
Well, that young twink lieutenant sitting in there. Bro, what the fuck?
Know that you're going to have approximately 2 minutes, 120 seconds to either succeed or fail. And then at approximately 12:30 p.m. on Monday, that's 7:30 p.m. in Qatar, as the sun sets in the west, Iran attacks. As the targets were detected, round after round of Patriot missiles are ejected from their canisters by an initial launch charge. Then the main solid rocket motor ignites. You can
they add you can feel it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Oh my God.
Feel this in your body if you've ever been around a Patriot taking a shot.
Oh boy, did they make him add extra to this. This is crazy.
And round after round goes out and guides against those missiles coming inbound. We believe that this is the largest single Patriot engagement in U.S. military history. And we were joined in this engagement by the Qatari Patriot crews.
Yeah, I hate everybody, Foodie. If you don't like that, there's tons of other YouTube channels if you don't like that.
I'm not going to tell you how many rounds were shot.
Oh, is there anybody you do like? Yeah, your mother. I like her.
It was a bunch because of classified purposes. And we're aware that there's reports of something getting through. What we do know is there was a lot of metal flying around. A
lot of metal flying around, guys.
Attacking missiles being hit by Patriots, boosters from attacking missiles being hit by Patriots, the Patriots themselves flying around, and the debris from those Patriots hitting the ground.
This is a wild replacement for actual facts and evidence. Wild replacement. Images, video, video or it didn't happen, basically, right? We're getting like actual like verbal imagery here instead. Don't you guys like that? The Patriots just released from the canisters and went into the sky, and the night sky was twinkling over Qatar and Doha as the people were out for the night and they were having their dinner when the rockets came in, and the debris went everywhere, and the soldiers looked and they gazed in awe at this amazing. Bro, fuck off. All the way off. Stop.
There was a lot of metal flying around.
Jesus.
And yet our U.S. air...
Is this did they take this from a book? An adult novel? Or what is happening here?
Defenders had only seconds.
They're not rewriting history. They're replacing facts and evidence with story time here about nonsense bullshit that no one cares about, actually. Except unless you're a hyper nerd or like an actual cultist.
To make complex decisions with strategic impact. These awesome humans, along with their Qatari brothers and sisters in arms, stood between a salvo of Iranian missiles and the safety of Al Udeid. They are the unsung heroes of the 21st century United States Army. And I know a lot of you have seen the videos online and the excitement as those Patriots departed their launchers and went up and guided. This really demonstrates the combat capability.
Well, you guys just heard the first ever Patriot missile porn. You didn't think you could have military hardware porn? You just heard one. There it was.
Ability and capacity of our Army air defenders. Simply stated, they absolutely crushed it. If you'd flip this over, thanks. Let me next move.
Well, that was a lot. Who wrote that? You guys, who wrote that? ChatGPT or Grok? Probably Grok.
To a walkthrough of the GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator weapon and share a little...
The penetrator weapon, guys. Massive ordnance penetrator weapon. And the young LT in the back was really excited about it.
Let me next move to a walkthrough of the GBU-57.
It's like watching Too Fast, Too Furious.
Massive ordnance penetrator weapon and share a little bit about the planners who did this and their work on the weapon. First, let me set the stage for you.
Yeah, there you go. Get your lips wet.
There's an organization in the U.S. called the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, DTRA.
Wow.
DTRA does a lot of things for our nation, but DTRA is the world's leading expert on deeply buried underground targets. In 2009, a Defense Threat Reduction Agency officer was brought into a vault at an undisclosed location and briefed on something going on in Iran. For security purposes, I'm not going to share his name. He was shown some photos and some highly classified intelligence of what looked like a major construction project in the mountains of Iran. He was tasked to study this facility, work with the intelligence community to understand it, and he was soon joined by an additional teammate. For more than 15 years, this officer and his teammate lived and breathed this single target, Fordow, a critical element of Iran's covert nuclear weapons program. He studied the geology. He watched the Iranians dig it out. He watched the construction, the weapons.
So they had Matt Damon. Matt Damon was growing potatoes in the Iranian mountains and shit, doing studies.
The discard material, the geology, the construction materials, where the materials came from. He looked at the vent shaft, the exhaust shaft.
He looked at the shaft.
Electrical systems, the environmental control systems, every nook, every crater, every piece of equipment going in and every piece of equipment going out. They literally dreamed about this target.
They watched the equipment go in and out and penetrate and all this.
At night when they slept. They thought about it driving back and forth to work, and they knew from the very first days what this was for. You do not build a multi-layered underground bunker complex with centrifuges and other equipment in a mountain for any peaceful purpose. They weren't able to discuss this with their family, their wives, their kids, their friends, but they just kept grinding it out. And along the way, they realized we did not have a weapon that could adequately strike and kill this target. So they began a journey to work with industry and other tacticians to develop the GBU-57. They tested it over and over again, tried different options, tried more after that. They accomplished hundreds of test shots and dropped many full-scale weapons against extremely realistic targets for a single purpose: kill this target at the time and place of our nation's choosing. And then, on a day in June of 2025, more than 15 years after they started their life's work, the phone rang and the President of the United States ordered the B-2 force that you've supported to go strike and kill this target. Yesterday, I had the incredible honor and privilege.
Wow, there's the whole lore. The whole lore of the how we know about Fordow, you guys, in case you were interested. A lot of penetration, a lot of in and out.
Of spending time with
young lieutenants,
these two Defense Threat Reduction Agency officers who've given so much. One of them said, quote, "I can't even get my head around this. My heart is so filled with the pride of being a part of this team. I am so honored to be a part of this. To you both, thank you, and thank you to your families."
Grinding.
Operation Midnight Hammer was the culmination.
Well, now we know why it's called Midnight Hammer.
You know, those 15 years of incredible work, the air crews, the tanker crews, the weapons crews that built the weapons, the load crews that loaded it. Before I run through this video today, I want to talk a little bit about weaponeering and what goes into an attack. Weaponeering is the science of evaluating a target. I mentioned all of those factors before that these two DTRA officers had thought about. Ultimately, weaponeering is determining the right weapon and fuse combination to achieve the desired effects and maximum destruction against a target. In the case of Fordow, the DTRA team understood with a high degree of confidence the elements of the target required to kill its functions, and the weapons were designed, planned, and delivered to ensure that they achieve the effects in the mission space. By the way, in the beginning of its development, we had so many PhDs working on the MOP program, doing modeling and simulation, that we were quietly and in a secret way the biggest users of supercomputer hours within the United States of America.
Wow.
So let me...
Not a single fucking person cares. Wow. Guys, do you think about how much computer power went into all that? I bet you didn't think of that, fake news. Yeah.
Let me talk about the graphic a little bit. And the GBU-57, which all of you I know is a 30,000-pound weapon dropped only by the B-2. It's comprised of steel, explosive, and a fuse. Programmed bespokely, uses effectively what tells the bomb when to function. A longer delay in a fuse, the deeper the weapon will penetrate and drive into the target. So on Fordow, in June of 2008, you can see these 3 holes. Depicted here is the main exhaust shaft with 2 additional ventilation shafts on either side. The United States decided to strike these 2 ventilation shafts, as seen here on the main graphic, as the primary point of entry into the mission space. In the days preceding the attack against Fordow, the Iranians attempted to cover the shafts with concrete to try to prevent an attack. I won't share the specific dimensions of the concrete cap, but you
Come on, tell us. Give us the size, dude. Size, that's the best part.
should know that we know what the
Was it big enough to fit in the hole? That's what we got to know.
dimensions of those
Come on, are you going to leave that part out now?
concrete caps were. The planners had to account for this. They accounted for everything.
Damn.
The cap was forcibly...
Guys, we you don't get to hear the girth. Oh boy, it's going to get forceful here.
They accounted for everything.
I better make sure. Yeah, is this okay for Twitch? Is Twitch going to allow this stream? I'm kind of nervous. Dude, this is getting wild, actually. Holy.
The planners had to account for this. They accounted for everything. The cap was forcibly removed by the first weapon, and the main shaft was uncovered. Weapons 2, 3, 4, 5 were tasked to enter the main shaft, move down into the complex at greater than 1,000 feet per second, and explode in the mission space. Weapon number 6 was designed on each side, so there were 6 on each side. Weapons number 6 was designed as a flex weapon to allow us to cover if one of the preceding jets or one of the preceding weapons did not work. The video I'm about to show you is a culmination of over 15 years of development and testing. As I said, hundreds of test shots on various models. This is one weapon. So if you take a view of this as 5 additionals, you'll get a sense of what this looks like. Hopefully you can see it and there's not too much reflection. Tom runs our videos out there. We'll run it at full speed so you can see it and then go back through it. Go ahead, Tom.
So we've had a pretty erotic description of what goes into air defense. That was intense. Also, with the story of how the intel came about of the nuclear site, that was also pretty erotic. So you had that so far, and now we're going to get a video that isn't us destroying a nuclear facility, but it's like of the bomb and what it does. And we saw a clip of that already on... Oh, here's the actual clip. I think Preston shared it. Wow. What a news conference this is. Pete Hegseth crying, and then this guy's giving lots of details of things that you didn't think you cared about. Did he retweet it? There it is. So here's the video that he's showing in the press conference. We won't be able to see it very well. There it goes in. You can see it penetrate, and then it explodes. There it goes. Okay. It goes in and then explodes. Just like he said. But again, none of this is Iran, nor is this a uranium or nuclear enrichment facility. This is just a file video of a test fire. So they're doing a whole lot of not telling us anything. And then also, I doubt again, me personally, I don't think the actual facility is that far down. Like, it's further. It's further than that. So it would probably be able to reach it even deeper, but to show a file video that has the hole there and the penetration area here, you know, it'd be a lot deeper. It would be a lot deeper than that. Wow. Wow.
Keep it going for a minute. You'll see inside the mission space.
It's not the mission space. It's not the mission space. What are you talking about? Now you're lying. That's why they do this, to pretend like that this is the actual site. No, you're showing a file video of a test fire. Ain't no mission space in there. What are you talking about?
Unlike a normal surface bomb,
wow,
you won't see an impact crater because they're designed to deeply bury and then function.
Deeply penetrate.
I know there's been a lot of questions about that. All 6 weapons at each vent at Fordow went exactly where they were intended to go. A bomb has 3 effects that causes damage: blast, fragmentation, and overpressure.
Oh, wow.
In this case, the primary kill mechanism in the mission space was a mix of overpressure and blast, ripping through the open tunnels and destroying critical hardware. The majority of the damage we assessed based on our extensive modeling was a blast layer combined with the impulse extending from the shock. Imagine what this looks like 6 times over. A point that I want to make here: the joint force does not do BDA.
You have to imagine.
By design.
You have to imagine it, guys. Use your imagination.
Here, the joint force does not do BDA.
Why not?
By design, we don't grade our own homework. The intelligence community does.
Okay, that's one way to pass it off then. So we don't look and see if we were successful or not. That's the intelligence community. And then they can keep passing it to someone else, and it's someone else that does it. Nice.
But here's what we know following the attacks and the strikes on Fordow.
I guess I never had an AAR in my life. You know, I served in the Army for 10 years, and after every single mission, even if we literally delivered water, we had to sit and do a debrief and like an AAR and what went well, what didn't go well, and then that information gets passed up.
First, that the weapons were built, tested, and loaded properly. 2, the weapons were released on speed and on parameters. 3, the weapons all guided to their intended targets and to their intended aim points. 4, the weapons functioned as designed, meaning they exploded. We know this through other means, intelligence means that we have, that were visibly, we were visibly able to see them. And we know that the trailing jets saw the first weapons function, and the pilots stated, quote, "This was the brightest explosion that I've ever seen. It literally looked like daylight."
That's the biggest explosion my eyes have ever laid on.
The bomber crews themselves. Give you a few details about them. The crews that attacked Fordow were from the active duty Air Force and the Missouri Air National Guard. The crews ranked from captain to colonel, and most were graduates of the Air Force Weapons School headquartered at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada.
Wow.
I will state for the record that there is no beach volleyball or football at the Air Force Weapons School.
Damn it. So we can't go watch we can't go watch them play beach volleyball? Damn it. Heck.
They were male and female aviators on this mission, and a crew member told me when I talked to them on video the other day that this felt like the Super Bowl, the thousands of scientists, airmen, and maintainers all coming together. One last story about people. When the crews went to work on Friday, they kissed their loved ones goodbye, not knowing when or if they'd be home.
Wow.
Late on Saturday night, their families became aware of what was happening. And on Sunday, when those jets returned from Whiteman, their families were there. Flags flying and tears flowing.
Just red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue just seeping out. Eagles are screeching. Oh my God, dude.
Their families were there. Flags flying and tears flowing. I have chills literally talking about this.
Literal. I have literal chills thinking about it. Holy, maybe I should have woke up this morning. This would have been a good call. Actually, no. Nope, I would have been mad. Then I would have just been back to sleep mad. This is fine.
Day when those jets returned from Whiteman, their families were there.
Literal chills.
Flags flying and tears flowing. I have chills literally talking about this. The jets rejoined into a formation of 4 airplanes followed by a formation of 3 and came up overhead Whiteman proudly in the traffic pattern, pitching out to land right over the base and landing to the incredible cheers of their families who sacrifice and serve right alongside their family members. Like I said, There were a lot of flags and a lot of tears. One commander told me this.
Tears for Israel. Good job. You wouldn't go. You did a mission for Israel. It wasn't for America. Good job. Clap.
This is a moment in the lives of our families that they will never forget. That, my friends, is what America's Joint Force does. We think, we develop, we train, we rehearse, we test, we evaluate every single day.
You don't pay. You strip veterans' benefits rights when they get out. PTSD. They're not paid properly. There's homeless veterans everywhere. Yeah, totally. Great. It's great.
And when the call comes to deliver, we do so. I could not be more proud standing up here.
So proud. So proud. Went on a bombing mission for Israel, did all that work. It's not actually for the United States. And then when they all get out, they're going to be shit on.
Today of our joint force, I'm filled
by
with
the same government
gratitude that I get to tell their story. And as we stand here right now, our forces remain on a high state of readiness in the region, prepared to defend themselves. And one last thing, our adversaries around the world should know that there are other DTRA team members out there studying targets for the same amount of time.
Oh boy.
And we'll continue to do so. Thank you.
Are we gonna get more DTRA lore? I need another DTRA lore drop. What an intense description of a whole lot of nothing. So Pete Hegseth passed it to General Kane, and you got a very homoerotic story there. Very intense. A lot of details there. Into the soldiers and airmen and air defenders and lots of things happening there. A lot of penetration, a whole lot of explosion. But do you know what we didn't get? Facts or evidence of Iran's nuclear program being destroyed. That didn't happen. Sorry. So you got a lot there. A lot happened. But did we find out if Iran's nuclear program was destroyed? No. Just story time with the general. Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much. I apologize for the length. I look forward to your
No, you don't. Yeah, right. No, they told you to add all that. That would have been 5 minutes if you didn't have to add all the soldiers were gazing into the sky with the missiles, and they just finished with the lieutenant in the back of the Humvee, and then they bro, that was so unnecessary. All of that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just thank you, by the way, for that extensive work, the lay down. I mean,
sorry you didn't like the briefing. I thought it was informative. I mean, yeah, if you like adult novels, which you can do that without watching a Pentagon press briefing. Yeah, I go to Pentagon press briefings for my erotic. So you can have like a sound. You can have a ebook read that to you, and listen to that all day if you want.
Even do you have that laser pointer? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Laser pointer.
Me away as always. I mean, even in just the public reporting, if you see the post-strike shaft of the 3 holes.
Never mind. Not done. Post-strike shaft in the 3 holes, guys.
Even in just the public reporting, if you see the post-strike shaft of the 3 holes, the vast majority, and fairly so, the vast majority of speculation has been those are the 3 strike points. When in actuality, what you realize is these are the vents, these are the caps. The first munition took the cap off, and the other 5 went down the center hole, which...
Yeah, it loosened it up, and then you could fit more in.
If you're planning the target, you would want it to be the direct one going to the bomb.
Exactly.
These are the types of things.
Exactly. Then you could get the chonker one in there. Then you can fist it after that.
Go into the planning for a strike.
Yeah.
That the Pentagon would not expect the press corps or the American people to initially understand. So laying this in.
I know we wouldn't expect the press corps to understand this. You have people that have been covering war. You have this is the CBS guy who goes to like Ukraine in the front lines. Stop it. Don't patronize. Don't act like you're better. You're not. You're especially you, Pete Hegseth. You are nothing in the military actually. So you're holding a position that you shouldn't. If anything, the guy next to you maybe should be, as long as he doesn't do all that again. But anyone that actually holds a serious rank should be in your spot. You're a clown. So to act like as if, oh, this, I don't expect the Normans, you normals to understand. Yeah, shut up, dude. I'm an idiot. I actually tried that one.
The Pentagon would not expect the press corps or the American people to initially understand. So laying this information out is helpful. But it's also why we ask for a beat, for a moment, for a day or two, the opportunity to tell that story. Because as the chairman said, these men and women that did this mission, they just want to do their job. They're not expecting their story to be told. They're not expecting the glory.
It's not even on them. It's on the government that sent them there. Are you kidding me? What are you talking? So again, they're just trying to they're trying to play this game and gaslight you as if we're criticizing the fucking, the airmen on there. No one's even thinking about that. They're thinking about the government and the American government and what we're doing as the government.
Grateful for the flags and the hugs of family. That's why they do the job.
Guys, we literally just told you the longest erotic story ever about the soldiers, but we never talk about it. We literally use the podium of the Department of Defense at the Pentagon with every major world news outlet in this press conference, but that story's never told. We never tell that story. That's MAGA classic right there. That's a classic one.
But they also know they were a part of something historic. We know how historic it was. The chairman does. I know. Our staffs know. And so that's why we are... And the president of the United States.
Hey, Silver Badger, don't project your inadequacies onto me, okay? It's your problem. It's not me. I promise you.
States.
You thought Prometheus said, I thought it was interesting that the 3 holes were vents and not actual penetration point. Also, that the mop was designed specifically for Fordow. I understand that this is new info. Does that give us information that we destroyed the bases completely? What is the status of Iran's nuclear program? Wow, you learned some factoids that you could learn at any point if you're a nerd and care later at any point ever. Good factoids and nice little anecdotal information is irrelevant to the main point of what people are looking for here. Even the people that are on the side of Israel are asking for this. Everyone is. And there's nothing. It's just words.
And that's why it's almost personal when we see the way in which leaks are used to try to disparage the outcome or muddy the waters about the impact of what happened without being responsible with information and allowing the professionals to assess and provide that information just like the chairman did. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, for that information. Sure. And we welcome a few additional questions.
Wow. So let's see what happens here.
Yes, sir.
General, on Sunday you said final battle damage will take some time.
What proof did you see? That video is not proof. I already told you that. The video that was played is a test file of a test of the bomb. It wasn't the actual nuclear site. You saw nothing. Nothing new. What are you talking about?
And you also said, I think BDA is still pending, and it would be way too early for me to comment on what may or may not still be there at the nuclear facility. So that was just over 3 days ago. So what has changed? Would you use the term obliterated as well?
Sure, like I said, we don't do BDA. I'll refer that to the intelligence community.
Nice. Yeah, not going to answer that one.
And
you're talking with them. I mean, what changed in the past 3 days and make you so, you know?
Sir, I think I said...
I think I explained what changed. There was a great deal of irresponsible reporting based on leaks, preliminary information in low confidence. Again, when someone leaks something, they do it with an agenda. And when you leak a portion of an intelligence assessment, but just a little portion that makes it seem like maybe the strike wasn't effective, then you start a news cycle whether it's the Washington Post or Fox News or CNN or MSNBC, you start a news cycle that starts to call into question the efficacy. No, that's why. So you bring the chairman here, who's not involved in politics. He doesn't do politics. That's my lane to understand and translate and talk about those types of things. So I can use the word obliterated. He could use defeat, destroyed, assess, all of those things.
So you are saying that you can use whatever language you want about whatever it was, but the press is asking you what it is. What is it? Is it destroyed? Is Iran's nuclear program gone? Is it wiped out? Can they make a nuke? If they can, how long will it take them to make one? And instead, you're playing this fucking game as if the press did it, and you're a clown, Pete Hegseth.
But ultimately, we're here to clarify what these weapons are capable of, which anyone with, two eyes, some ears, and a brain can recognize that kind of firepower with that specificity at that location and others is going to have a devastating effect. So
now it's devastating. Okay, so the U.S. bombing of Iran was just devastating. That's it.
We all recognize there will be days and weeks ahead. That's why yesterday I said, if you want to know what's going on at Fordow, you better go there and get a big shovel, because no one's under there right now. No one's under there able to assess, and everyone's
If I was Iran, I would do that. I would take this and then go there with a big shovel and do a photo and meme on the United States. That's what I would do.
Reflections of what they see, and that's why the Israelis, the Iranians,
there's just Iranian government officials just holding up shovels at Fordow.
The IAEA, the UN, to a man and to a woman who recognize the capability of this weapon system, are acknowledging how destructive it's been. So that's what's changed.
Just 3 or 4 days later.
See, this is a point. This is how difficult it is to actually manage. You just watched a video of what this weapon is capable.
You watched it, yeah. You watched nothing. You propagandist, fuck clown. You showed us a file video of what it's capable of. You didn't show us a video of anything of the actual strike. And again, the file video that you showed us, the tunnel is there's 5 feet between the impact zone and where the tunnel is that was created for the test file to test the bomb. Iran's shit is way further down underneath the ground than that. What a loser. What an actual drunken loser.
Capable of. That's where we find our confidence, is in the skill of men and women and the capability of the systems they employed, and the recognition so far in the reflections that it was a highly successful mission.
Sure, I think you could, I'd say go out, the IC should be able to help you answer that question. They look at a variety, as the Secretary has alluded to, we look at a variety of things. I don't do that, they do. All different sources of intel, which I'd refer you to them to get clarity on the end state.
So again, I go back to the IC, whether it's Director Radcliffe or ODNI Gabbard. I read the statements at the beginning.
They're the ones using different language for every single thing, and that's why the press is asking you, what is it? And then you're like, see, that's the press, that's the media. No, it's you. It's you.
Aggregating the intelligence, and they're saying nuclear facilities were destroyed and would have to be rebuilt over a number of years. Facilities were destroyed. What do we got right here?
Sir, you cited a body of credible intelligence to suggest the damage at Fordow and other places. What is that referring to, and when can we see it?
I was reading from the CIA director's statement, which came out last night.
Which is a fucking tweet, bro. It's a literal tweet, brother. Statement from Director John Radcliffe. CIA can confirm that a body of credible intelligence indicates that Iran's nuclear program has been severely damaged by the recent targeted strikes. This includes new intelligence from a historically reliable and accurate source method that several key Iranian nuclear facilities were destroyed and would have to be rebuilt over the course of years. CIA continues to collect additional reliably sourced information to keep appropriate decision makers and oversight bodies fully informed. When possible, we will also provide updates on all ears. Words, but no facts. Words, but no facts or evidence.
Right? CIA, again, they do the BDA, they do the assessment.
Okay, so the CIA is doing the BDA. Great.
CIA can confirm that a body of credible intelligence indicates, it also goes on to say, new intelligence from historically reliable and accurate sources and methods. Now, you can imagine. You can imagine the CIA.
Yeah, and what is that? And what is it?
The director is going to be very careful about how he articulates things of that sensitivity.
No, he was in the Senate we saw his testimony in the his confirmation hearing, and he's a absolute dick suck for Trump. Like, that's his spot.
Classified, secret, top secret, compartmentalized. He's going to know things that you're not going to know.
Wow, that's okay. Wow, that should not cut it. Push back, press.
The press isn't going to know, and he's reflecting that.
Nope, not good enough. Not good enough. Push him.
The sources he's seeing are highly credible. They've given credible intelligence. They are the
feelings are the facts now. So don't no more show you, just tell you. No more evidence, just words. That's it. That's where we're at. 1984.
processes have given credible intelligence in the past, and that's what he's basing it on.
Trust me, bro.
Do you have a top secret clearance, sir?
Eventually, the American public wants to see it.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to.
There's nothing. There is nothing. Charlie Diagata or whatever goes, are we going to see it eventually? Do you have a top secret clearance? Well, are we going to see it eventually? American people would like to know.
I wanted to ask briefly just...
No, not you. Checkered shirt.
Wow.
Oh, so Mike Glenn with the Washington Times.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, sir. Anybody who's ever read a Battalion S2 report after a fight knows that it's usually, the initial report is usually wrong, sometimes grossly so. Has what happened in this incident caused y'all to sort of rethink the intelligence process or the dissemination, or do you think it's just a matter, I mean, if the process itself doesn't require any more adjustment?
Well, I can tell you what the chairman told me in the Situation Room and reminded us all, which is alongside what you just said, sir, is that the first reports are almost always wrong. They're almost always incomplete, right? Anything, whether it's a squad level operation or a strategic level operation.
Wrong. Nope. Not true. Not true at all.
The initial reflections you get are coming at you at a high rate.
No, wrong. That's not true at all.
Speed from a lot of different sources. So your job is to step back and assess them. And that's why we're urging caution about premising entire stories on biased leaks to biased publications trying to...
Now they're biased leaks. Biased leaks.
Make something look bad. How about we take a beat, recognize first the success of our warriors, hold them up, tell their stories.
No, you narrative driving propaganda. That's propaganda. All right, Goebbels Jr. here. Hey, how about we do a different story instead of like the actual facts and evidence of whether or not the U.S. successfully striked Iran's nuclear facilities. Let's give them a whole bunch of fluff and extra shit that does not actually matter. And if you're a nerd, you'll find that information out yourself if you want to. The majority of people are Normans, and they just want what's given right now. They don't want to do extra work and deep dive into shit that is irrelevant.
Celebrate that, wave an American flag, be proud of what we accomplished.
Wow.
And in the meantime, I can assure you, the chairman and his staff, the intelligence community, our staff and others are doing all the assessments necessary to make sure that mission was indeed successful.
Wow.
Yes, right there.
Sir, thank you, Mr. Secretary. Iran has recognized that their nuclear program was indeed severely damaged, but they also said that the U.S. strikes only strengthened their ability and their determination to complete their nuclear program. How do you respond to that, sir? Is that a provocation from Iran?
Well, I would say Iran's going to have to say a lot of things right now in order to bolster their image, especially internally. You know, in the media, there's a lot of things they'll say for domestic consumption. But we're watching very closely what they do. Again, that's the intel community. Our job as the chairman, the chairman laid it out so beautifully. Our job is to be prepared. And how proud are you? How proud am I? I didn't know the full story of those men and women 15 years ago who've been pointing at that target.
Wow. Wow.
Makes me proud to be an American. That's an awesome.
Wow. Yeah, tell that story instead. Yeah, don't tell the story of like if we successfully destroyed it, of the lies that the president has said. Yeah, don't tell that. Tell this instead.
Awesome story. I hope we can tell more aspects of that in an unclassified way in the future. That's a great thing to know. Our job is to be prepared when the commander-in-chief calls based on those assessments. So, of course, our IC, the Intelligence Committee, will keep watching what Iran does and pay attention to that. But the president has created the contours, the opportunity for a deal, for peace, in something that the world said was intractable, that wasn't possible. And we got that peace that ceasefire, that option, because of strength, because of his willingness to use American military might that no one else on the planet can do with the kind of planners and operators that the chairman just laid out.
Wow.
Yes, sir. Right there. Yep.
If the U.S. gets drawn into a war, an actual war, it's man. If you're trying to find accurate, relevant information, subscribe to the channel because we'll be in it together, and it's gonna be tough. It'll be like a Soulsborne version of like news gathering. Okay, it's gonna be like playing Dark Souls for news, and every single story will be like a boss battle, and that's what it'll be like with this administration because it's gonna be nothing but lies.
Yes, sir. Just a quick question. There's public imagery available saying that highly enriched uranium was moved out of Fordow before the strikes. Is that accurate? Have you seen that? And Mr. Chairman, a question for you. Have you been pressured to change your assessment or give a more rosy intelligence assessment to us by any political factors, whether it's the president or the secretary? And if you were, would you do that?
Yeah, well, that one's easy. No, no, I have not, and no, I would not. My job as the chairman is to offer a range of options to the president and the National Command Authority to deliver the risks associated with each of those, and then take the orders of the National Command Authority and go execute them. I've never been pressured by the president or the secretary to do anything other than tell them exactly what I'm thinking, and that's exactly what I've done.
And the highly enriched uranium?
There's nothing that I've seen that suggests that we didn't hit exactly what we wanted to hit in those locations.
Trust me, bro. Yeah, trust me. Images, something. Nope.
That's not the question, though. It's about highly enriched uranium. Do you have certainty that all the highly enriched uranium was inside the Fordow mountain, or some of it, because there were satellite photos that showed more than a dozen trucks there 2 days in advance? Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved?
Of course, we're watching every single aspect, but Jennifer, you've been about the worst, the one who misrepresents the most intentionally. What the president says. I'm familiar.
Report about the ventilation shafts on Saturday night.
Wow, and so instead of answering her question, you attack her personally. Nice, typical maggot.
We're watching every single aspect, but Jennifer, you've been about the worst. The one who
what's her question again? One more time.
Certainty that all the highly enriched uranium was inside the Fordow mountain, or some of it, because there were satellite photos that showed more than a dozen trucks there 2 days in advance. Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved?
Of course, we're watching every single aspect, but Jennifer, you've been about the worst. The one who misrepresents the most intentionally. What the president says. I'm familiar.
Report about the ventilation shafts on Saturday night. And in fact, I was the first to describe the B-2 bombers, the refueling, the entire mission with great accuracy. So I take issue with that.
I appreciate you acknowledging that this was the first the most successful
push back.
Mission based on operational security has done since you've been here, and I appreciate that. So we're looking at all aspects of intelligence and making sure we have a sense of what was where.
Wow, what a propagandist. Goebbels, 100%.
Why not acknowledge the female pilots that also participated in this mission? The early messages that you sent out only congratulated the boys.
So when I say something like our boys and bombers, see, this is the kind of thing the press does, right?
No, that sounds like a right-wing journalist that's like doing false flag news question. We're in false flag news. We're so cooked. So now he can use that to dunk on the media and say, wow, look at this extra dog shit question. Really? Really?
Of course, the chairman mentioned a female bomber pilot. That's fantastic. She's fantastic. She's a hero. I want more female bomber pilots. I hope the men and women of our country sign up to do such brave and audacious things. But when you spin it as, because I say our boys and bombers as a common phrase, I'll keep saying things like that, whether they're men or women. I'm very proud of that female pilot, just like I'm very proud of those male pilots. And I don't care if it's a male or a female in that cockpit, and the American people don't care. But it's the obsession with race and gender.
Okay. you just had the general do a very, very extensive story about the soldiers, and you're here talking about how telling their story is more important than the facts of what the government did in Iran. And then now you're also saying that it's not important. It's actually not. American people don't care.
In this department, that's changed priorities. We don't do that anymore. We don't play your little games. Yes,
You
right
know
there.
for certain that the uranium was removed from the facility before the B-2.
Tell the story of these war fighters, but only the white ones and the men.
So I'm not aware of any intelligence that I've reviewed that says things were not where they were supposed to be, moved or otherwise. Yes.
Kelly Meyer with News Nation, and just off the top, I want to say
wow.
we're grateful for the service of these pilots and everybody that serves. I wanted to ask you, the CIA statement said, when possible, they will provide updates and information to the public for transparency, and I believe that's what we're looking for here. Do you commit to share the Defense Intelligence Agency report when it is ready, so the American people can understand more about the intelligence assessment?
Well, whatever.
No, you're dumb. Sorry, Prometheus. I've been going back and forth with you, but now you're dumb. We have immediate capabilities to see what the hell happened there, especially if you just said you had someone staking it out for 15 years. And they were sitting there looking at it and watching it and studying it for 15 years. Don't give me that cope bullshit. Oh, we don't have the capabilities to go and see. Yeah, we do. 100% we do. Stop the cap.
Actually,
especially you're going to try to gaslight me who just covered Russia's invasion of Ukraine for the past 3 years. I know not all of them, not every capability, but I know what our capabilities are after watching Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the U.S. help, which has been a lackluster. But even with our lackluster help, we have the access with our satellite imagery to get anything we want when we want it now. Stop it.
The report that was discussed, this preliminary report, was what's called a restrike report. So it comes to us to give us an assessment whether a target would need to be restruck, right? That's the reason why. So it's based on internal feedback loop that we're supposed to have access to. Unfortunately, someone took advantage of that. But whatever is supposed to be made public will be, but whatever has to stay sensitive.
Sir, can I just jump in? You know, one of the things that I'm trying to do through this journey that we're on together, of course, transparency, but also the requirement to really protect these capabilities. I guess the time's up. So there's a balance in there, right? We do need to preserve options should the nation and the joint force be tasked to go do something again. So I'm confident we'll find the middle ground, but there are some things that if asked, I'd want to not release related to.
So we're going to leave it right there. I want to thank the heroism of our men and women in the military. What they accomplished is truly historic. Setting back the Iranian nuclear program, untold number of years. It was a devastating attack. We appreciate you covering it. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Navy to talk a little bit more about your role, sir.
No, I just don't have time for people that are trying to give the benefit of the doubt to this administration for anything at this point, especially when we have nothing for evidence or facts, and you're like trying to give them like the benefit of the doubt, or like give them, oh well, they're just something, but they're just no. Nope, they have nothing. A whole mountain of cope and bullshit on top of not giving us facts or evidence. But a whole bunch of nonsense, huh? No preparation for what? For what attack?
Hundreds of things here. It's so good. And we're going to also cut costs. We're cutting $1.7 trillion in this bill, and you're not going to feel any of it. And your Medicaid is left alone. It's left the same. Your Medicare and your Social Security are strengthened. We're not cutting. The Democrats are going to destroy all three of them because it's not sustainable. They'll end up cutting your Medicare.
Projection. So all that's getting cut. Strengthening programs by cutting them. They're getting the big beautiful bill ready. They're doing propaganda for it.
Hey everybody, here at the White House, walking into a big ceremony here where we'll have Americans from all across the country who have gathered to talk about how the big beautiful bill is going to be a big change to their lives. We're going to fulfill all of our campaign promises here. We're going to have massive tax cuts, historic in their
for the rich.
We're going to have big regulatory relief. We're going to restore American energy dominance again and get back to peace through strength. Oh, and
bunch of campaign slogans. We're gonna get back to Trump's campaign slogans that have no meaning at the end of it. Zoran, yeah. If anything, you know what? The election of Zoran shows us the racists out here, but also the cooked ass Democrats that you should ignore. Okay, because Mabdani clearly showed you how to win as a progressive, and if you're like some old crusty Democrat that's like, no. Okay, you're done. Okay, he just did the blueprint of how to win in the Democratic Party and be progressive, which is care more for the actual working class than like Israel. That's pretty much it. That's what it takes right now. Walked into so just racists out here against him. They're so mad. Leave the Democrat Party. They're doing full blitz on him. Jesus. Racism watchdogs barking like crazy here. This is my best account. You can find all the racists. Barking hard at Marjorie. This hits hard. Bark, bark, bark. Charlie Kirk. 24 years ago, a group of Muslims killed 2,753 people on 9/11. Now a Muslim socialist is on pace to run New York City. Bark, 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 bark. Oh, look at this one. Jesus. Holy. So don't ever let MAGA tell you they're not racist, okay? They gaslight themselves into thinking they're not, but they know they are. That was Jose Padilla. Never let them gaslight you out of that, yes. It's the whole MAGA movement is literally a foundation of race. Like racism is a part of the foundation of it. So, like it's impossible to talk about MAGA without talking about racism too. Andy Ogles is a clown. He's I think he put the Trump 2028 bill up, or he's trying to. Democrats will be like, "Hey, we need people that will fight and like can win, but also not that one. Not Zoran. Let's go with Kumo and Adams, who are literal criminals." We are so well past the point where people could label you hyperbolic or dishonest for literally. Because we're in 1984 world in the United States. Zoran Little Muhammad. Jesus Christ. He needs to be deported. So that's what you're dealing with in the right wing. That's the right wing. And then the left wing, you got Democrats that are old and crusty and can't win. And need like they need the America to delve into absolute fascism for them to have a cope win, like a Biden. Because they're too afraid of actual like progress and somebody that will win, like Zoran. And other politicians like him. We don't know how to connect with the youth. Meanwhile, Zoran, who knows how, and connects with the youth, does. This guy's socialist. He's socialist. Can't have that. My favorite part, here's my, hold on. Zoran, I want the debate. They asked him in the debate, and I don't know why. They asked all the mayors in New York of like, where are you going to visit first? And everyone was like, Israel. We're going to go to Israel. We're going to go to Israel. And then he goes, I'm just going to stay in the borough.
Donnie, can I just jump in? Would you visit Israel?
No,
as mayor?
I've said in a UJA questionnaire that I believe that you need not travel to Israel to stand up for Jewish New Yorkers. And that is what I will be doing as the mayor. I'll be standing up for Jewish New Yorkers, and I'll be meeting them wherever they are across the 5 boroughs, whether that's in their synagogues and temples or at their homes or at the subway platform, because ultimately we need to focus on delivering on their concerns.
And just yes or no, do you believe in a Jewish state of Israel?
I believe Israel has the right to exist.
Not as a Jewish state?
As a state with equal rights.
Nice.
He won't say it has a right to exist as a Jewish state. Be very
And
clear
his answer was no, he won't visit Israel.
I said that.
That's what he was trying to say.
No. Unlike you, I answer questions very directly.
All right,
and I want to be very clear.
Kumo thought that was a own. Look at him. He's smiling and biting his lip, thinking like that's a own. Like, oh, look at it. He won't visit Israel. Bro, the populism is not with Israel. Okay. Israel lost its shine. Okay, over the past 3 years. There is no more populism to support Israel. It's gone. Majority of Americans do not support Israel, especially at this point.
Visit by a mayor of New York is always considered significant. Where would you go first? Mr. Cuomo?
Given the hostility and the anti-Semitism that has been shown in New York, I would go to Israel.
Mr. Tilson, where would you go?
Yeah, I'd make my 4th trip to Israel, followed by my 5th trip to Ukraine, 2 of our greatest allies fighting on the front lines of the global war on terror.
Mr. Mamdani.
Wow.
I would stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs.
Guys, again, these are mayors. They're running for mayor of New York City, not governor or anything federal. They're running for the mayor of New York City, you guys.
On the front lines of the global war on terror.
Mr. Mamdani.
I would stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and focus.
Not my generation, Lucas. Maybe old generation that's fading out. My generation and younger do not. It is absolutely not the case that we like. There's there's a lot that support, but the majority and the populism around supporting Israel is gone. There is no. I think in the age of just like, oh, Israel ally, we support Israel. It's just like that's gone now. Now there's no more just like U.S. ally to Israel, and like it's just part of the way life works. People are challenging that now. I think it's more people than you think.
On that.
Mr. Mamdani, can I just jump in? Would you visit Israel as mayor?
I will be doing, as the mayor, I'll be standing up for Jewish New Yorkers, and I'll be meeting them wherever they are across the 5 boroughs, whether that's in their synagogues and temples or at their homes or at the subway platform, because ultimately we need to focus on delivering on their concerns.
And just yes or no, do you believe in a Jewish state of Israel?
I believe Israel has the right to exist.
Not
as a Jewish state?
As a state with equal rights.
Nice. So a perfect answer. Because they don't. Because it's an ethno state. It's a religious ethno state.
He won't say it has a right to exist as a Jewish state. Be very clear.
And his answer was no, he won't visit Israel.
I said that.
That's what he.
Wow, as if like, see, bro, if you're if Democrats that do that shit, they're done. They're going to be done.
I was trying to say.
No. Unlike you, I answer questions very directly.
All right,
and I want to be very clear. I believe every state should be a state of equal rights.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mamdani. Visit.
Well, there's that. Doing all the content. Wow, big beautiful bill from Nazi Barbie. With the lighting and everything. Trump considering new Iran deal, including giving $30 billion to... Why? What is that? What? Hey, we just talked about blowing up their nuclear program, but let's give them money. Okay, Trump deal Iran. Details emerge of secret diplomatic efforts to restart Iran talks. The Trump administration has discussed possibly helping Iran access as much as $30 billion to build a civilian energy producing nuclear program. I'm off this roller coaster for the day, you guys. Every time I come back, I just hate everybody, and then I want to leave. So you're sending in okay, so this is the way they're going to solve Israel, Iran, Gaza is Israel will be allowed to territorial expand, and they're going to do that by religious inquisition of Gaza with Christian evangelicals. And then with Iran, we're going to have privatized companies, Western companies, working and helping them develop nuclear, but for energy instead and for good. We'll help them. We'll help them get nuclear program for good, guys. Easing sanctions too. Wow. And freeing up billions of dollars in restricted Iranian funds, all part of an intensifying attempt to bring Tehran back to the negotiating table, which they already negotiated the deal and Trump destroyed it. Key players in the U.S. and the Middle East have talked with the Iranians behind the scenes, even amid the flurry of military strikes. Great. Trump administration officials emphasize that several proposals have been floated. They are preliminary and evolving, with one consistent non-negotiable: zero Iranian enrichment of uranium, which Iran has consistently said it needs. But at least one preliminary draft proposal described by CNN by two sources includes several incentives for Iran. Excuse me. Some details were hashed out in secret hours-long meeting between U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Gulf partners at the White House on Friday. The day before U.S. military strikes against Iran, two sources familiar with the meeting told CNN. Among the terms being discussed, which have not been previously reported, is an estimated $20 to $30 billion investment, a new Iranian non-enrichment nuclear program that would be used for civilian energy purposes. Wow. So if you're like an absolute like cuck and you thinking like, wow, the U.S. is so much better than Iran. Look at our cool military, and look at our military will annihilate Iran. Boy, they do not want to annihilate Iran. You're going to send your taxpayer dollars to it. How do you guys like 20 to 30 billion of your taxpayer money going to Iran after we said we bombed their nuclear facilities and it's gone, but we're going to make new ones for them? Isn't that fun? You guys love this? It's so much fun. Other incentives include potentially removing some sanctions on Iran and allowing Tehran to access $6 billion currently sitting in foreign bank accounts. That is restricted, so they're going to unfreeze money for Tehran. Nice. Hell yeah. Both sides. Both sides, guys. Okay, they're going to have a meeting next week, it looks like. Axios reported 11 hours ago. U.S. and Iran will hold a meeting next week. Okay. All right. Well, I think I'm off the ride. I'm off the ride for today. Until tomorrow, and more happens, or more information possibly. But overall, I mean, you guys can go and react to this posting if you would like to in the YouTube channel. Secretary of Defense Hegseth looked like a clown. We got the State Department briefing, which told us nothing. And that is today's news. All right, guys. All right, everybody, have a good night. Thank you again for watching. Thank you to everybody that's a member. We had one new member on the stream today. I appreciate that. Thank you for becoming a member and supporting the channel. Thank you to everybody that is a member and that supports. We're going to be on my gaming channel tonight. Okay, it's Arma night, but I'm going to be playing Broken Arrow until then. So we have this coming up. And then we have Armory Forager tonight. The big game is tomorrow. Tomorrow night, I'm doing a 24-hour stream. I don't want to hear nothing about the world or world news or nothing from Friday into Saturday. I hope nothing bad happens because I have a 24-hour stream coming. We're nearly at 10,000 subs, and we should hit it soon. So almost 10,000 subscribers on my gaming channel. Come check it out. But we're going to have a 24-hour Death Stranding 2 stream. So no news on Saturday. I'll be playing Death Stranding all day, all night, 24 hours, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern the next day. So come on and tune in on Friday night into Saturday, if anything. But we're gonna be streaming until then. So come on over, Mercado Gaming. and check it out. You guys are awesome. Thank you again so much for all the support, supporting independent streams, independent media. More to come. Not going anywhere. Yesterday, it was just kind of like a dead day of news, so there's nothing to really talk about. I don't want to go live and do all that, and today wasn't really like breaking news, but you know, it's still information that's coming in, or lack of information from our strikes in Iran, and that's important that you guys get all the information. I'm sorry, there's just nothing really to tell, and our government is a bunch of liars, lying liars that lie, and that's where we're at. Okay, guys, see you on the next one. Have a good night. Peace.